deals being done between NFL teams, and we have new news coming out all the time. Now, here's the deal. You're not going to hear a lot of news with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars might have got their only move of the day done without doing anything, and that is that fifth-round pick that Baltimore gave for Calais Campbell just went up about 13 spots, I think it was, because the Atlanta Falcons traded a fifth-round pick to the Ravens in a Hayden Hurst deal. Of course, Hurst from Jacksonville goes to Atlanta, and because of that pick, well, the Jags benefit because Baltimore had already given their fifth-round pick away. Well, they didn't have one. They have to use Atlantis, and there we go. So it's kind of fun. If I understand that correctly, I think the Jaguars moved up today in the fifth round without doing anything, which I guess is good for them. But they did get rid of Calais Campbell yesterday, and we continue to get reaction in on that front. Talked to Calais a little bit yesterday, and basically his message was how much he loved Jacksonville and loves Jacksonville, and you saw it on social media. If you didn't, he expressed how much he enjoyed being here and how much he'll maintain and continue to be a part of the community here in Jacksonville with the CRC Foundation.
A 6-part tweet.
Yeah, a 6-part tweet and a very classy message. No surprise there from Calais Campbell. We'll talk about the impact of Calais Campbell. And this is going to be a strange thing coming from me, but in a way, was it a good move for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Is this what organizations do with older players to get something in return and now flipping the roster to a degree? Can you spin it that way, or is it too soon with Calais Campbell and it didn't matter what you paid him? You don't want to see him go. I mean, believe me, I'm in that camp to a degree as well. So that was the big news on Sunday. Calais Campbell traded away to the Baltimore Ravens, but good for him. He'll have a chance to really be on a competitive team, a team that thinks it can win a Super Bowl, and it's a good move for Baltimore. But it doesn't mean it's a bad move for the Jags. What it does do is something that we mentioned a while ago. It shows that there's a pivot inside the building, and I think the A.J. Boye move did that. Once they got rid of A.J., and they liked A.J., but they weren't going to rework a deal. They got a fourth-round pick for him, and they shed $13 million or so off the cap. I said at that point, I said, if they do one more move, Linder, Norwell, Fournette, Calais, well, you can't sit here and say it's win-now mentality if you're getting rid of A.J. Boye and Calais Campbell. Those guys have been key parts of what you're trying to do, and now you leave massive holes at those positions. Doesn't make it the wrong move. It just means winning now is very unlikely without two players of that caliber. See, the Ravens are in win-now mode. That's why they went and got Calais Campbell, because he adds to what they already have. So there's a big difference in terms of the pivot of the organization, whether they will admit it publicly or not, that this is a little different route, even than when Shad Khan talked, I think, about a month ago and said they feel like they're closer to winning. That's why they kept Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell. They think they can win faster with those guys in place rather than resetting. Well, guess what? Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell are now part of a reset to a degree. How vast will that be? How much of a rebuild will it be? Well, that's debatable. We'll talk a little bit about that because I want to go back and compare, say, 2015-ish to where the Jags are now on the roster, because 2013-14 was a complete strip-down rebuild. We knew that. That was evident, obvious, and, well, it took a while to reset that thing, at least from a player standpoint, where they wanted to be. 15, they didn't get results. 16, they didn't get results, but you could see some of the talent that was starting to manifest itself, at least on the roster, even if they weren't winning enough games. That's a different topic. And then 17, obviously, it blossomed into an AFC Championship game run. So how far are the Jags away with all this draft capital? Now with money being freed up, where are they in terms of core players from a young core player standpoint? And then the X factor could, of course, be Yannick Ngakoue, who we talked about on Friday. So there's a lot to get into here on a Monday, and I'm not sure we'll hit it all, but we'll get into some of it. Brent Martineau here. Coos along as well. Austin Lane in Wisconsin. Skiing, I believe. Hey, the world still spins. At least in Austin Lanes.
I'm surprised. I'm supposed to go to Vegas, and that not happening now.
I'm supposed to go to California. That didn't happen.
Austin got the last flight out.
Austin made one final trek, and he may have done all that just to join a gang. We'll explain.
Apparently, yeah.
We'll explain a little bit later on. The biggest news of the day. Forget all this trading and Hayden Hurst and DeAndre Hopkins going to Arizona. Yeah, we'll get to it. The Jags trade away Calais Campbell. I could have spent a whole show on this. We should have brought Nicole in, Coos. Congratulations. You got engaged over the weekend.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we went down to St. Augustine and did it.
Tell us how it went down. I mean, was it as planned? Was this in the works for a long time? Or
you know how
you've been getting a lot of pressure at home now.
You know how we joke about how I get myself into situations all the time? Even our boss calls it pulling a Coos move. Well, I went down to talk to her dad on Saturday because her dad was in town for the players. And obviously, since that didn't happen, they went down to St. Augustine to see family. So I texted him on Saturday morning to go meet up and obviously ask him and talk to him. And so I'm driving down to St. Augustine. And, my mind wasn't fully on the drive. So there may have been a fender bender that ended up happening. So shout out to Jan, who I bumped her car.
You did?
I hit Jan. I apologize, Jan. It was a rental, which might make things even worse in the future. So I don't know what's going to come of that. But then I talked to her dad. Everything went well. And then when Nicole came down, we had dinner. We walked on the beach, and I asked her, and she said yes.
Oh, it's just simple as that. Were you nervous?
I was more nervous to talk to her dad, which is why I think the car accident happened, honestly. So
heart was racing a little bit.
Yeah, and then when I asked Nicole, I felt fine. But then afterwards, I was like, man, I feel like I'm sweating. So, I don't think I noticed until afterwards.
Let me dip into your personal relationship here. How long have you guys been together?
We would have been 5 years this summer.
So people have been anticipating this. They've been kind of saying, at holidays and stuff, Justin, what the heck are you waiting for?
Every wedding, we're like, you're next, right? You're next. Yeah. So, yeah, it was kind of expected, honestly.
All right. So that's good. So at least there's no super surprises in that regard.
No.
But congrats, man. That's awesome. Congrats to Nicole. Yep. She's a very nice young lady, and so that will be very cool. Do you have you even started to think
Oh, man. I was surprised at how quickly it went from congratulations to what's the date? When's
it does. Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
I know. I just did it. Yeah, I just did. That's the next question.
But that's
right?
exactly how it goes. And so, no, we haven't looked at anything like that yet. So we'll see where it goes.
Well, like I said way back, however many months ago, I don't know if you were here for the show. Mm-hmm. I don't think you were, but don't feel any pressure to invite us.
Okay.
I mean, I know weddings are expensive.
You don't
it
want to
won't
do the
hurt
show
our
live?
feelings. Now, we could do that, but we don't necessarily need an invitation.
That's
we're
fair.
just part of the entertainment.
Outside of the venue. Because it's definitely...
Special Saturday show.
I'm fairly confident she grew up in Raleigh. I'm pretty sure the wedding will be in Raleigh. That much I do probably know. So... if you guys want to come up to maybe a Hurricanes game, NC State game, get a little of that stuff going.
Oh, nowadays, heck, weddings are not on Saturday. It might be on a Friday.
No, I'm a big no Friday, no 3-day weekend guy.
Okay, so Saturday will
Nicole's
likely
joking
be?
with me. That was my first thing I said. I was like, no Friday wedding, no 3-day weekend wedding. She's like, oh my gosh, you're more of a bridezilla than I am already.
Yeah, got it going. Well, congratulations. That's awesome stuff. That'll be a lot of fun. I do know this. This is crazy. I'm not going to name names because I don't know if he wants his name out there, but guy we know in the business is supposed to get married. I think it's what's today's date? The 16th?
Today's the 16th, yes.
So I think he's supposed to get married next weekend, not this coming weekend, but next weekend.
They canceled.
Well, they canceled it.
Yeah.
They canceled. I mean, you didn't even I don't think about that stuff, until you start seeing floating around, whether it's Facebook or somewhere else. But, I mean, people have to cancel their weddings. That's a tough deal, man. Hopefully those places, and I don't know, I'm sure each of their own, but I'm sure they'll reimburse and try to figure stuff out so they're not eating a lot of money.
Yeah.
But, the wedding, one of the cool part of the wedding is almost everybody and some people that you don't know that well because it might be in-laws, friends, or whatever.
Other side of the family, yeah.
But that they're all in one place at one time, and depending on how big your wedding is, that's one of the best parts of the wedding. That's why it's top 3 all time on my list that day.
Everyone
because everybody you know is there.
Yeah.
And it's the only time that ever happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would probably cancel mine too if it was coming up in the next month and a half.
I don't even think we're allowed to have over. I think if I remember correct, you're not allowed to have more than 50 people. So if it's a bigger wedding,
although that's one hell of an excuse to cheap out on the wedding.
I'm sorry you can't make it. I can't have over 50 people.
I would look to get married in the next 2 weeks if I were you, Coos.
Yeah,
if you're paying for some.
Only the important people are allowed to come.
All right, so we start the show with some good news for Coos. Congratulations to Justin and Nicole. They're getting married at some point. They get engaged over the weekend, and this will be a memorable time to get engaged. Be the Players' Championship that didn't happen. So you'll always remember that.
And it was on Pi Day, so I told her, I was like, you signed yourself up for a life of Pi Day jokes.
Yes,
like
very
horrible dad jokes.
Yeah, an easy dinner on your anniversary.
Our first date was to get pizza, and now on Pi Day, we're set.
All good to go. All right, what's happening in the world of the NFL? Are people starting to hint that Nick Foles could be? Adam Schefter says, wait a minute. Teams have approached Jacksonville about Nick Foles for weeks. To date, Jacksonville has been unwilling to trade him, still feels that way, but never know what happens if another team gets aggressive. Schefter. I didn't think the Jags could find anybody to dance. And they probably don't want to give up much. But wow. How do we feel about that? Let's start there. We've also got Calais, DeAndre Hopkins. We go to Wisconsin on the slopes to Austin Lane. There is going to be a lot going on in this show to digest, okay? So we'll keep you up to date on all. So you don't have to keep looking at your phone. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on and tell you the latest happening. But there is a lot happening in the NFL. And quite frankly, it's making my head spin. But we'll try to sort it out, including anything to the Nick Foles rumors. And why did the Jags trade away Calais Campbell? It's on the way next. ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly sunny to start today, but a backdoor cold front will be moving into northeast Florida this afternoon, causing spotty rain showers and temperatures to dip. We're looking at a high of 73. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Alyssa Pedjig.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where 0% financing for 5 years has been held over. Find out more at beardsdiamonds.com.
As the coronavirus spreads across the country and into Florida, Action News Jax is keeping a close eye on the outbreak. I'm Action News Jax anchor Tanika Hughes. Our newscasts are dedicated to giving you the latest information on the virus.
And I'm John Bachman. From live reports from our governor to updates from the CDC, we're here to give you calm advice, common sense approaches to help stop the spread.
On air, on actionnewsjax.com, on our news app, and live streaming on Action News Jax Now.
2020 models are on the lot at Arlington Toyota. And if you want to get behind the wheel of one today without buying, then all you need to do is rent a Toyota. Yes, rent from Arlington Toyota. Toyota Rent-A-Car is the best way to try it before you buy it. And renting from Arlington Toyota puts you behind the wheel fast and easy. So if you've got a road trip coming up, long weekend with friends, or maybe you just want to try out all the new 2020 bells and whistles, Toyota Rent-A-Car at Arlington Toyota has just what you need. With an amazing selection of 2020 Toyotas that are ready to hit the road today. Everything about renting a Toyota from Arlington Toyota is easy. They've got amazing 2020 models, simple online reservations, and their staff is always eager to help. 2020 models are ready to go. So if you've got a new 2020 ride on your mind, why not try it before you buy it with a Toyota Rent-A-Car from Arlington Toyota? Just visit arlingtontoyota.com. That's arlingtontoyota.com and get your online reservation started today.
Hey, it's Coos from Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Now, I know there's a ton of ways you can listen to the show, but did you know one of the ways is through a smart speaker? Yes, the Google Home, the Amazon Alexa. It's pretty easy to do. Just tell either of them to play ESPN 690. Try it out weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m., and you can listen to Action Sports Jacks.
Hey, it's Dan Le Batard from the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. You're listening to Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
What's to say it's going to be better if the league pushes it back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it may be? We don't know. And so that is the next big decision that the NFL faces. And all I can go by is what the league has said up until now, that they're planning to start the league year on Wednesday until further notice and beyond that. So it's hard to start legal tampering when teams and players could enter into agreements on contracts when you're going to be pushing back the league year.
There's a lot going on in the NFL this weekend. We're going to talk about this because Schefter went he did not like the fact that the league year was starting on time with everything going on. I put a poll out there today, and that's not everybody in the country, but put a poll out there, and 3 out of 4 people, I think at last check, were saying, hey, I don't mind it. So is the NFL right or wrong in doing this right now? I understand they're feeding our need to get away from the coronavirus, and we haven't had sports in a while, so I understand why the fans like it, and maybe that's what the NFL's feeding into. But does Schefter and others, and I think a lot of teams, I don't want to say I know, but I think there was a feeling from folks I talked to over the weekend that it was going to be pushed back. But that would have created a whole nother set of mess. So I want to get people's thoughts on that. There's bad optics here, potentially. Optics is everybody's favorite word, but they're not wrong either. I mean, you got people signing $100 million contracts and then others wondering if they're going to have a paycheck on Friday. So is that a good move by the NFL, or is it a nice distraction to be able to go business as usual, especially since these are all transactions? I still think the physical part of it is up in the air, and how are they going to do all that when you're signing somebody to a $60 million deal? Are you taking away from medical resources, perhaps, even though that might be far-fetched, but are you? We don't know. So we'll talk about that. I want to get to that a little bit later on, and Schefter was really strong on it. That's what kind of got my attention. As well. Speaking of strong, like 6'6", 240 pounds. Imagine coming down the ski slopes at 6'6", 246 pounds. You know, imagine being in front of that guy coming down the slopes. I hope you haven't run over anybody there in Wisconsin. What's the weather? How's the snow? And did you just do a black diamond? Austin Lane.
Hey, what's up, Brent? It's good to hear from you, man. Well, obviously, I mean, the only runs I do now are black diamond. So, yeah, I just did a black diamond. I'm chilling in the parking lot right now, just hanging out. I have until about 7 o'clock tonight. We'll have to pick up my mom from work, so it's just kind of a long day of snowboarding. But as far as the conditions are concerned, not too shabby. It's about 35 degrees outside right now. It's kind of cloudy, but overall, man, I cannot complain. And obviously, the hill is pretty quiet with everything going on, you know, with coronavirus and everything. So,
yeah, I was going to say skiing. I remember last week we were kind of lightheartedly joking about some of their messages on their website. They said, "Hey, we got ski masks and it's open air and social distancing is fine." And so the slopes are open, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The slopes are open. Well, so it's kind of weird, right? Because I think Ohio pretty much essentially shut down all their restaurants and all their bars, and Illinois has done the same thing. So, like, you know, those are 2 states in the Midwest. I feel like if you shut down bars around here, you know, there's going to be riots and everything like that. But so far, everything's remained open. You know, we'll see if Wisconsin kind of follows trend there. I mean, obviously, like, and this trip was kind of the last moment, spur of the moment kind of thing, because I figured, tell you the truth, everything would be closed down. And I kind of had a conversation with my wife. I was just like, do you think I should go? And she's like, it means a lot to you. It means a lot to your stepdad. So she's like, I would go. And so I kind of heeded her advice, and I made my decisions Sunday morning. I flew out Sunday afternoon, and I'm here now. And so far, so good.
Well, listen, the bottom line here is, as Austin Lane joins us from Wisconsin here at ESPN690, that we are practicing social distancing. And also, you'll probably be the first person to join a gang during the coronavirus pandemic.
I mean, once again, I've been very adamant about this. It's not a gang. It's a club, and I say club in quotations. But basically, what I'm doing here in Wisconsin, obviously, is the fact that every St. Patrick's Day, there's this group of guys called the Ravinos. And what they are is they're a ski and snowboard club that originated here in Wisconsin. They migrated out west to Colorado and California. So there's 3 chapters of this club now. And my stepdad has been in the club for a while. A few years ago, they asked me to join, and I kind of set it up this year that you actually show up. And take part in the initiation process. So that's kind of why it was an important trip to me, and obviously it was important to my stepdad too, because he'll be around to watch me go through what I have to go through, let's just say.
All right, let's get right to it. We got a lot of people hanging out and wondering about Nick Foles, and I know you haven't been kind of locked into your phone, but I'll give you an update. There are reports that teams have been calling about Nick Foles for the Jags. And there's another report that Chicago's very interested. Right now, Chicago looks to be interested in every quarterback. It's crystal clear they're not comfortable with Mitchell Trubisky, and they are interested in every quarterback that's ever played the position, much like the Jags should be interested in every tight end that ever played the position. But, I mean, how much would it stun you at this stage if Nick Foles is moved, given the amount of quarterbacks that are out there for teams to pursue? And Tom Brady, by the way, is still out there. I don't think Chicago's a landing spot. Tannehill gets scooped up and signed by the Titans. We'll talk about that in a bit. But seriously, I know people wouldn't mind seeing Foles move. That's not the question here. The will he be moved, I've been adamant that I don't think he will. I don't think they'll find a dance partner. Well, it sounds like there's been discussions if you listen to some of the national guys.
Yeah, Brent, and this is kind of a situation here where you have to wait for the dominoes to fall, okay? And, if you look at this free agent class of quarterbacks right now, obviously, in my opinion, Tom Brady is by far that top piece, right? So I think once it kind of makes, it comes into fruition of what happens with Tom Brady. Does he stay in New England, or are the rumors kind of circulating out of Tampa Bay right now saying they're trying to offer him, the max deal that they can offer him? Does Tom Brady go to Tampa Bay? Because you got to think, if Tom Brady stays in New England, well, then Teddy Bridgewater possibly goes to Tampa Bay. And then, it's kind of like a trickle effect. So it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen until we know where these bigger names are going to go. From Nick Foles' standpoint, listen, the whole thing is that contract, and that's kind of the biggest turnoff for me. I get it. The sample size last year was pretty small, but once again, you're taking on a pretty hefty contract. And with the rumors circulating now, too, with, the Colts being very interested in Philip Rivers, to me, the Colts will give me the no-brainer.
Yeah.
Because the head coach there has experience with Nick Foles, obviously. Chicago, though, is kind of, I guess, a dark horse, in my opinion, just because I get it. You want to move on from Mitch Trubisky, but then you're really going to burn yourselves with another Nick Foles kind of contract at the quarterback position? To me, that's just a lot to ask. So, once again, I think once Tom Brady makes his decision, it'll all come into place. Do I see a team trying to pursue Nick Foles? It's hard for me to imagine, but you know what? I didn't imagine DeAndre Hopkins going to the Cardinals, right? I didn't imagine Austin Hooper being the highest paid tight end right now in the NFL. So, this is free agency, Brent, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. So can I see Nick Foles going someplace else? I guess the answer is yes right now.
Yeah, it's wild. Austin Lane with us, joined us from Wisconsin. He's got the next couple of days off as he has an event to attend these couple of days. So we're still checking in with him, though, with the crazy free agency frenzy going on. And if you just joined us, the latest reports, people like Adam Schefter in the last 20 minutes or so saying teams have been calling the Jags with interest to see if they would trade Nick Foles. The Jags holding steady on Foles. So they're trying to build a little bit more of a market for him. And it also shows you that they just probably won't take the first thing thrown their way to unload him like so many fans, I think, would like to do. Just to reiterate, I still believe he's going to be on the roster in 2020 in this football season. I just think that's the way it's going to work out and shake out. But that is the latest, and that's what's got us talking about Nick Foles. Would you take anything just to unload the deal? I mean, listen, money's not a problem anymore. Jags unloaded Calais Campbell and A.J. Boye. We'll talk about that in a bit. But would you take almost anything right now just to unload the contract? Keep in mind, Jags will not save a ton of money from a cap space standpoint, regardless of what they do. I think they'd save about $3 million, but Shad Khan would save the cold, hard cash of paying Nick Foles $15 million this season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, at this point right now, I would take anything for Nick Foles because it's all about getting Nick Foles off the books, washing your hands of it, and moving on as a franchise, okay? I think with, and we'll obviously get into the Calais Campbell thing a little bit here, but, with the move with Calais Campbell, with the move with A.J. Boye, you're obviously planning for the future right now, and I get it. Maybe you want to keep having these press conferences saying that you're still in it to win it for 2020. Obviously, I think with the decisions that you're making, that's not true at this moment, right? So to me, it makes zero sense whatsoever keeping a high-priced guy like Nick Foles on your roster when you're trying to acquire draft capital, when you're trying to plan for the future. So with that being said, I mean, if you can even get a 6th or 7th rounder for him just to unload him, you absolutely have to make that deal. Because, I mean, Calais Campbell, I think, you know, he got a 5th rounder, and once we're going to get into a little bit, I think you probably could have got a little more for him. So it's all about what you get for somebody with Nick Foles. If you get a 7th rounder, I would take it, get him off the books, and just, you know, start to have that quote-unquote rebuilding process, I guess.
So here's the latest from Ed Werder now from ESPN as more rumors continue to and reports come out. Bears are focused on acquiring Andy Dalton or Nick Foles, both veteran quarterbacks who have played for either Matt Nagy or members of coaching staff. Obviously, that would be John DeFilippo now. There's a sense in the organization that Trubisky should be forced to compete for the starting position. Now, that I give Chicago a little bit of credit. If you go back to the Blake Bortles days, that last year before he brought him to the AFC Championship game, it was the number one criticism of this organization. They brought nobody in to compete. You know, it was just Chad Henne and Blake. So the idea that Chicago at least is going to bring somebody in for their embattled QB, Mitchell Trubisky, makes a lot of sense, and probably should give him a hat tip for that. And these are two viable options without a ton of money on the books. And what I say is a ton of money because Tannehill just got paid $30 million to play the QB spot. That contract for Nick Foles isn't that bad in today's quarterback world. I mean, it really isn't. Now, it's not great if you stick him on the bench and he's a backup. I understand that. But if you think he's a factor, that contract right here in 2020 is not awful. Once again, Jags are on the books for $15 million this year with that contract. So it's something to keep an eye on. That's the latest out of Ed Werder. From ESPN, and there continues to be reports and some smoke around the Nick Foles talk and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I hope you don't have to run anywhere yet because we got something else to get to, or 2 or 3 or 4, Austin Lane. Let's get to the Calais Campbell thing. Just your take. I'm going to get into it deeper in a bit. But were you stunned that Calais Campbell got traded, and do you think a 5th-round pick was not enough?
So first of all, Brent, I have all the time in the world today, man. So don't worry about the time. I'm glad to kind of get off the slopes a little bit, take a break. So no worries there. I want to talk about this a little bit with Nick Foles. You just mentioned and Mitch Trubisky, where they're trying to bring in competition for Mitch Trubisky, and that's kind of the opposite of what happened with Blake Bortles. My quick question to you is: so Ryan Pace, GM of the Chicago Bears, essentially gave up a king's ransom to get Mitch Trubisky, right? And now, obviously, Mitch Trubisky has not panned out. From your perspective, though, Brent, like if you're the GM, is that kind of bad for optics, though, if you're trying to bring in a guy to compete with Mitch Trubisky? Because if I'm Ryan Pace right now and I sacrificed all that draft capital to get Mitch Trubisky, to me, that's the guy I have to roll with. But the last thing I want to do is see a free agent come in, beat up the quarterback that I went to bat for, and now he's a backup quarterback. So do you think, like, Ryan Pace is doing this right now as a GM? We're bringing these free agent guys in?
Say the last part again. I was reading a tweet.
No, I'm sorry. So I just think from Ryan. So from Ryan Pace's perspective, right? Because you compare the situation to Blake Bortles. They never brought anybody in for Blake Bortles after they gave him the new deal. With Mitch Trubisky, Ryan Pace sacrificed a lot to get Mitch Trubisky.
He did.
Okay? Gave up a king's ransom, essentially. So from your perspective, if you're Ryan Pace, are you doing yourself a disservice by bringing in these high-priced free agent quarterbacks? Because now, number one, you're spending money, obviously, that doesn't need to be spent. And number two, you're basically saying, well, you know what? The guy that I went to bat for, gave up so much for, isn't the guy, and now we're going to go with a free agent instead. Yeah,
I thought I heard you correctly. I just want to make sure. Listen, here's the deal. I think I would actually praise Pace for doing it this way instead of being stubborn and trying to be right. All right. The Jags, I think if one Caldwell did with Bortles and others did with Bortles is they tried to be stubborn and right. Maybe myself included too, by the way, who died on the hill. So, except my job's not on the line when it comes to that. Theirs is. Yeah. And so Pace is in a situation, and everybody in Chicago is in a situation where they have to do whatever they can to get 10 W's. They need to win. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how you got there, man. It doesn't matter how much you spent. Doesn't matter how bad you look giving up. As long as you get W's, we don't talk about all that stuff. The more you go 5-11, everybody talks about that kind of stuff. So it's like the grievances. True. Nobody would have talked about the grievances for the Jags if they were 11-5. Nobody would have talked about it. But because they stunk, everybody was talking about it. So I think it's all that. And so I give them a little bit of credit for trying to fix it now. See, I think Tennessee just made a Bortles-like mistake. Now, I understand Tannehill's career is on a better trajectory than Blake Bortles. I get it. But I still believe they just made a Bortles-like mistake. Keep in mind, the Jags, when they gave a deal to Bortles, it wasn't that bad of a deal. Now, the idea that they gave it to him, sure, you were right if you were against it, but the money part was not that bad. This deal is $61 million guaranteed to Tannehill, up to $92 million, I think it is, or 62 and 91. So it's a huge amount of money for Tannehill. You're really rolling the dice here. I think this is a smart move by Pace and Chicago to have a backup plan because, listen, the narrative usually does win the day at some point. It's not always right, but it usually trends that way. And the narrative on Trubisky is he's just not good enough. And so that's probably the deal. How much longer are you going to stick with that, especially when you've given – you've acquired other people and spent other money to build around him, and it's still not working. So I would actually praise him in that regard. All right, now to get to Calais Campbell. What do you think? Were you stunned? I know we're all disappointed, but were you stunned in a fifth-round pick? By the way, which a fifth-round pick, they moved up 13 spots today because Atlanta ended up giving a fifth-round pick to Baltimore, and the Jags are going to get that. So they actually now have 13 spots higher in the fifth round than they would have had, but still, Calais Campbell's gone.
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to start out by saying this. I guess I was a little naive to the fact that, and once again, this is me taking the owner's, postseason statement, to heart, where he said, we're going to retain Dave Caldwell, we're going to retain Doug Marrone, because the plan is to turn around in 2020 and vouch for a playoff spot. Now, once again, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically essentially what the statement said.
Yes.
Right? So A.J. Boye, he gets traded, and it was starting to be like, okay, I can see it. Get him off the books a little bit. Maybe re-sign Calais, obviously keep Calais, try to work on Yannick Ngakoue's contract. So I didn't have a red flag there at all. But once Calais Campbell got traded yesterday, and I was literally right at the airport when it was happening, it kind of blew me back a little bit, for a couple reasons. Number one, obviously, the type of guy that Calais Campbell is, right? I only had the privilege to speak with him a couple times. I'm reminded the first time I met him was at Puzz's retirement ceremony. I just walk in to sit, and support Puzz, and here's Calais Campbell just out of nowhere comes up to me. He goes, hey, man, welcome back. I heard a lot about you, and just introduces himself to me. I'm like, dude, you're Calais Campbell, all right? You're an all-pro. I should be, admiring you. And number two, you're 6'8", and I'm like, looking up to you. That's kind of weird to me. But, that's just, it's just who Calais Campbell was. He was very personable. And it's almost like he had that split personality where on the field, he was this absolute monster, couldn't be stopped. And off the field, it was almost like he was this gentle giant, right? So, I have nothing but nice things to say about Calais Campbell and what he's done with the community, obviously, and everything he's accomplished, not only on the field, but off the field for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I hope that they honestly put him in the Ring of Honor. I know it's only a 3-year stint, but I think when you have things like the Ring of Honor in Jacksonville, you take into account, obviously, the play on the field and what he's meant to the team, but you have to look at what Calais Campbell's meant to the community as well. And, his foundation will still keep doing things in Jacksonville. That's what I read from him in his tweet and everything. But I think that guy needs serious consideration for the Ring of Honor. So now with that being said, trading him to the Baltimore Ravens for a fifth-round pick. And at first I saw the fifth-round pick, and I just kind of had to laugh at it a little bit, right? Because, yes, Calais Campbell may have regressed a little bit, and we talked about it, before on the show. We broke it down on the wall that says it all. But you cannot hide the fact that Calais Campbell was a Pro Bowler last year, and he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Now, once again, the Walter Payton Man of the Year is more for his stuff off the field, but it shows you what type of person that Baltimore will be getting. So with that being said, I have to ask the question, could the Jaguars have got more for Calais Campbell? And I think a lot of people are saying, yeah, a fifth-round pick, it's not that bad, and obviously you're doing Calais Campbell a favor by trading him to Baltimore where, a great guy like that has an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Now, listen, if I look at the free agency last year, Brent, right when free agency opened, you have a couple of examples. You have a guy with Michael Bennett who got traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the New England Patriots for essentially a fifth-round pick. Okay, and that's all it was. You have a guy like Robert Quinn last year who got traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Dallas Cowboys, I think, for a sixth-round pick. Now, Robert Quinn ended up having a fantastic season in Dallas. Obviously, Dallas got the better part of that pick. But keep in mind, in Miami, he really wasn't playing that well. And keep in mind, Miami was a mess. With Michael Bennett, they essentially got zero in return in New England, and it was kind of a wasted, draft pick to trade for him. So I guess my question would be, well, if you compare Calais Campbell to Robert Quinn to Michael Bennett, or you look at D Ford last year, who got a second-round pick, you have to ask yourselves, could the Jaguars have got more draft capital for Calais Campbell than a fifth-round pick? And in my honest opinion, knowing what I know about Calais Campbell, I think yes. Now, keep in mind, I understand he's at the back nine of his career. Not every team's going to want to trade for him. Obviously, only the playoff contenders or teams that are on a doorstep are going to try to trade for Calais Campbell to try to put them over. But I just think they could have got a little more for Calais Campbell at the end of the day.
Well, it's interesting, man. Here's the deal. Here's my thought on it, okay? I think they could have got a little bit more. I will say this. If you look at, and this is a very hard thing to do in Jacksonville right now, and I understand that, but if you look at one of the pluses of Dave Caldwell is he's been able to pull some pretty good trades. The guy knows how to get value out of a trade. I mean, he really does. I don't know if there's been a bad one. And there's been some really good ones, including Jalen Ramsey, including A.J. Boye just a couple weeks ago, including going to get Marcel Darius a couple of seasons ago. So, again, this isn't me trying to be Dave Caldwell's agent, but he has done a nice job in that arena. And I would guess that there wasn't a ton out there. You got to keep in mind now, the numbers do say 34 years old, 15 million. The numbers have gone down a little bit in terms of production. Of course, it came off that monster year of 17. And teams were going to have to be able to maneuver with the dollars and maybe rework to get what Baltimore did and make it a $20 million guaranteed over 2 years with flexibility for 2020 season on the cap. So that already limits, I think, the amount of people that you can get in there and get in on the sweepstakes for Calais Campbell. Teams with a lot of draft capital, teams that are not very good, probably aren't going after Calais Campbell because he's more of a final piece than he would be a building block. And the last part of this is I do think because of what he meant to this organization, I think the Jaguars tried to get him to a good situation. I really do. Now, listen, they didn't pass up on a second and a fifth because of it. But could they have passed up on maybe a little higher fifth or something like that? Maybe, to get him to a contender and a place that fits? Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea if that happened. I'm just saying I think they tried to take care of Calais in this deal as well as a thank you in sorts of what he had meant to this organization the last few years. And so who knows how it all went down. But that might have just been the going rate for Calais Campbell, and it cleared off $15 million on the books. All right, two quick ones. Shocked that Tannehill signed with the Titans. Actually, three quick ones. You can chime in on all three. Where's Brady end up? And, is Bill O'Brien nuts?
Yeah. So, real quick, too, and I thought this was the Calais Campbell thing real quick, Brent, where, listen, I'm happy for Calais Campbell, and that's awesome going to Baltimore. Have fun working with Joe Cullen, though. Good luck with that.
That's right.
but listen, in terms of the grand scheme of things, great for Calais Campbell. You know what? You got a fifth-round pick for him. The one thing I'm also nervous about, though, a little bit, too, with this Calais Campbell trade is usually when you make these type of trades, and once again, I think we're both on the same page here, Brent, where we agree that the Jacksonville Jaguars are not essentially really playing for 2020. They're playing for the future and beyond, okay? And when you get rid of Calais Campbell, you have to ask, too, okay, so you get rid of the vet in the locker room. You get rid of the staple, the pillar, the guy that's always done things the right way. Usually when that happens, you're confidently getting rid of somebody like that to hand the keys off to somebody else, right? Like, you want to see a guy go knowing that the locker room's in good shape without him and, like, the next generation can come up and take after him. Okay, if you analyze that Jaguars defense right now, obviously Josh Allen is a front runner coming forward. He's a very mature individual. He's a great locker room guy already. He's mature beyond his years. I'm not worried about Josh Allen, all right? But we don't know if Yannick Ngakoue is going to be in that locker room next year. We're not sure with Miles Jack. Obviously, he's going to be there. But number one, what position is he playing? Number two, is he ready to be the leader of that defense? Because I saw him get dragged off the field by Ernest Wilford the first game of the season against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? So from the standpoint of having the leadership, having the pillars on that defense, I question it right now. And especially if you're trying to go into a rebuild mode, we saw this same story when Gus Bradley came to town. They got rid of guys like Darryl Smith. They got rid of guys like Ooch, on the offensive line, where Eugene Monroe, all these guys who necessarily may not have been the most biggest playmakers on the team at the time, but they were solid pillar guys. They were guys that could lead the transition, leading the younger guys. I just think right now, getting rid of Calais Campbell, you have to ask yourself, do you have the pillars in place to going forward now to be successful on defense, number one, but also to try to avoid what happened with Gus Bradley?
Yeah, it's a good call, and I think you also have to ask himself, though, is that worth $15 million? And that's a fair question for the organization to ask as well, even though, you're talking to a guy that would have done a GoFundMe to keep Calais Campbell around here. So, I'm biased as heck. I love the guy, but I will say, I think, and we'll talk more about it later, sometimes good organizations, and I'm not saying that the Jaguars are in this boat, but I'm saying sometimes good organizations will make business moves like this with a 34-year-old guy. We'll find out if it paid off or not down the road. And I did not just lump right now the way the Jags have been with good organizations, but I'm just saying, it's a move that I feel like I keep preferring. The Patriots would make that kind of move. And you'd kind of be like, oh, man, they got rid of Calais Campbell. But they wouldn't make that kind of move over the years. They did. They have. And the Jags just made one of those instead of hanging on a little bit too long, perhaps. We'll see how all that shakes out. All right, real quick, Tannehill, where does Brady end up? And DeAndre Hopkins, Bill O'Brien, I feel like he's nuts right now.
Yeah, so first of all, Ryan Tannehill. This is where me and you differ a little bit, right? Because a lot of people want to compare this to the Blake Bortles ordeal. And we've talked about it before on the show a little bit. I don't think it's like the Blake Bortles situation pretty much whatsoever, because the thing with the Bortles situation was he had that one good year back in 2017. He leads your team to an AFC championship. So I guess, out of ethics, you pay him that money. And I think a lot of, at least I've stood in the boat where, it kind of made sense to me, right? Because the guy had a pretty good year. You obviously had a solid running game as well. Your defense was really humming. But at the end of the day, the general of your offense, one of the leaders of your team, took you to the AFC Championship, so you compensated for it. Okay, fine. With Ryan Tannehill's perspective, yes, he did a lot of things for the Tennessee Titans this year. Now, yes, Derrick Henry also got franchised. They didn't get his new deal yet, so it makes the optics pretty bad for the Titans. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure how many game-winning drives Ryan Tannehill had, but the Titans do not go to the playoffs without Ryan Tannehill, okay? So when we talk about that, and then we also talk about the fact that if you look at his past, and if you look at some of his numbers, for his first couple years at Miami, they're not bad, okay? He had some pretty legitimate seasons. Unlike Blake Bortles, where it was essentially just one season, AFC Championship, Ryan Tannehill has had some success in Miami as well. Now, obviously, it gets kind of lost because you're playing in Miami, and it's been a mess for the past decade, it seems like. So I think sometimes the talent of Ryan Tannehill doesn't really get talked about from the situation and the circumstances that he's come from. Now we fast forward to this past season. He takes his team to the AFC Championship once again. Didn't have crazy numbers whatsoever. It was all Derrick Henry. But at the end of the day, I think that, would I pay him that much money? Absolutely not. I probably would have cut it by at least $5 million. But it's just $5 million at the end of the day. And if it is what it is, I just don't think it's like a Blake Bortles situation. I think it's its own separate entity. Now, do I think that Ryan Tannehill can keep on being the guy for Tennessee and leading them to AFC Championship games? I'm not sure about that. I just think, though, we're not going to see a Blake Bortles-like collapse where in 2 years Ryan Tannehill is not going to be at the Titans anymore.
All right, we got to get to break or Kuz is going to kill me.
Okay, let's go, yeah.
But Brady, Bucks or Patriots? You starting to think you're drinking the shake or what?
Oh, no, absolutely. You know exactly where I stand.
You are so stubborn.
I'm so stubborn.
Listen, Vegas even has it at minus 150 to go to Tampa.
Oh, don't tell me that right now, man, because I'll put a transaction down at the scale if I have to.
Yeah, you might want to hedge your shake.
I just think with New England, once again, New England, they're great because they've always had a backup plan when things don't go their way. They're always, it seems like, 10 steps ahead of every other team in the NFL. They don't have a plan right now for a backup quarterback. They don't have a plan right now for a franchise quarterback. And I think until that plan gets in place, there's no way they let Tom Brady walk out of New England. I think Tom Brady stays in New England.
All right, and Hopkins, shocked?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. Listen, I'm sure you've seen the rumors, too, where there might be possible talks of Odell Beckham Jr. possibly going to Houston. I mean, I get it. It's all hearsay right now. To me, Brent, there has to be a bigger plan in place here for Houston. There has to be something on the fritz, because I just cannot imagine trading DeAndre Hopkins away, who's going in the prime of his career. And I get it. Didn't have, his most successful season last year, but still a pretty dang good season. And still probably a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. And you essentially trade him away for a second-round pick and David Johnson. And don't get me wrong, there was one point in the NFL where David Johnson was arguably probably the best running back.
Yeah, most dangerous maybe.
NFL. Yeah, he was very dangerous. But this was the NFL, man, especially from the running back position. Injuries happen, right? So he gets hurt a little bit. And what happens when Kingsbury comes in? For whatever reason, Kingsbury and David Johnson, they did not gel. They didn't gel so much for the fact that Kingsbury gambled, goes after Kenyon Drake from Miami, and now Kenyon Drake's going to be the featured back in Arizona. So if I'm the Houston Texans fans right now, I'm shaking my head. I'm upset because I just can't justify trading away, your top talent, one of the best wide receivers in the league, for a second-round pick and essentially a gamble at the running back spot.
Yeah, interesting stuff. We're going to talk more about it. I'd like to get your thoughts, too, 904-362-9901 on all these moves that are happening and where the Jags stand in it all. Austin Lane joining us from Wisconsin. He'll do it again tomorrow. Have fun on the slopes, man. Be safe. Good time visiting with the family. And you better check the airports. Hopefully they don't shut them down. Well, that's a long drive back.
Yeah, well, if not, I'm going to be in the business of purchasing a video and some kind of equipment to stream live from my mom's house. So hopefully that doesn't go into fruition. And also, I just want to say congratulations, Coos, man, on the engagement. I heard the story where you hit the car in a rent-a-car or whatever. Of course you did. But congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I was one of those times I was like, you know what? They aren't wrong, where I always have some weird story around it.
First of many bumps in the road. All right, Austin. Have fun, man.
Will do, man. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
All right, when we come back, I'm thinking of something, okay, right now, and we're going to get to more of the moves going on and any news going on in the NFL. Are the Jags winning the first day of free agency in the AFC South without even acquiring anybody? I'll explain next on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 SportsCenter Update.
I'm Jake Mitchell. The big news over the weekend is the Jags traded away the mayor of Saxonville for the next to nothing to the Ravens. Calais Campbell is on his way to Baltimore for a 5th-round pick less than 2 months after being named NFL Man of the Year and Defensive MVP of the Pro Bowl. Here's Diana Rossini, ESPN NFL Insider.
Calais Campbell is still playing at nearly an elite level. I mean, what a great grab for Baltimore.
NFL free agency kicked off today, and it's hot and heavy. Many teams tagging and signing players. Keep listening to ESPN 690 for updates. Stay connected with ESPN 690 while you're at work by listening on ESPN690.com. Best kept secret of tires is TireOutlet.com. Tire Outlet offers wholesale prices with premium service. TireOutlet.com always has a safety-first focus. Locations throughout the First Coast, there's no need to go anywhere else for tires and service.
Good news if you're looking to propose. Beard's most exciting offer ever has been extended. 5 years, 0 interest on anything in the store.
Yes, now at Beard's Diamonds, get 0 interest for 5 years on any purchase.
And that's on top of Beard's Diamonds' already everyday low prices.
Spread your payments out over 5 full years without paying a dime in interest.
How about a $6,000 Tacori or Veragio ring? You pay just $100 a month.
Or a pair of $3,000 $100 diamond stud earrings. You pay just $50 a month.
But hurry, 5 years, 0 interest financing won't last long.
Get her that designer setting she's been dreaming about and spread your payments out over 60 months.
Just divide your total price by 60, and that's what you'll pay a month.
Don't miss out on the best deal of the year.
0% financing store-wide held over.
Beards Diamonds, located at the St. John's Town Center.
Or beardsdiamonds.com.
Where exceptional is affordable.
Ready, set, go to Arlington Toyota during the Ready, Set, Go construction sales event. Have you been by Arlington lately? Construction is underway for their new state-of-the-art showroom. And while the dust is flying, so are the amazing deals. Thanks to Arlington's Ready, Set, Go construction sales event. How about a 2020 Toyota Corolla? It's not $17,635. Now it's only $14,991. Yeah, $14,991 for a pre-owned 2020 Toyota Corolla at Arlington Toyota. Want a 2019 Toyota RAV4? It's not $24,195. No way. It's just $19,471 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota RAV4 at Arlington. Plus, you'll get the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club, including a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles with your purchase. Ready, set, go to the construction sales event happening now at Arlington Toyota, and pay up to 50% less on 2019s and even 2020s. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard or online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/readysetgo for offer details.
Hey, boss, is it just me, or have you noticed more Safe Touch security signs on this street?
I did notice. 8 out of the last 10 houses were Safe Touch houses.
Boss, maybe this has something to do with it. Listen.
And the Safe Touch two-way communicator provides the fastest emergency response available.
Oh, goody.
Get yours
now Bill O'Reilly is spreading the word about Safe Touch. You know what this means, don't you?
That more people are going to hear Bill O'Reilly talking about Safe Touch?
Well, yeah, but it also means more people are going to check into Safe Touch.
Oh, and then they're going to find out how good Safe Touch is.
And get Safe Touch.
And every new Safe Touch house is a house scratched off our target list.
Exactly. Because we got to stick to the Crooks of Us motto, stay away from Safe Touch houses. I used to like that guy.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best 4G LTE networks, same as the big carriers, but just for a lot less. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, saving you up to half the cost of the big carriers. No contract. Full court coverage, half the cost. Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Bracket busters, Cinderellas, underdogs on top. With the right talent in the right place at the right time, crazy things can happen. And it's no different for your business. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Men, are the effects of hypertension, diabetes, or prostate cancer preventing you from having a satisfying love life? In just one visit, the doctors at Prime Men's Medical Center can help you overcome ED or PE to regain your confidence and have you last longer in the bedroom. Name brand pills don't work for many men and can have serious side effects. The highly skilled physicians at Prime Men's Medical Center provide custom blended medications that are safe, effective, and work immediately, regardless of your medical history or age. You'll see results on your first visit, guaranteed, or your consultation is free. So if you have problems in the bedroom, call now for a private consultation. One call, one visit, one simple solution to regain your love life. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now at 904-206-8105. 904-206-8105. That's 904-206-8105.
While the rest of the country is focused on the madness in North Florida, it's all about cigars at Aroma Stogie Fest, the area's largest annual celebration of all things cigar and Topacania. Join Brent Martineau and Austin Lane from ESPN690 Action Sports Jax as they broadcast live on Friday, March 27th from 3 to 6 p.m. And you could win Stogie Fest VIP tickets and other great prizes. The ESPN690 Action Sports Jax live broadcast from Aroma Stogie Fest is brought to you by Investor Financial. Learn more at stogiefest.com.
After a long day, having my dogs meet me at the door with their silly smiles and wagging tails makes me happy. I want to keep that joy with me for years to come. That's why I trust Forever Vets Animal Hospital to keep my pets healthy. Forever Vets was voted 2019's Best Vet in Jacksonville Magazine's Readers Poll, and it's easy to see why. The affordable wellness plans are tailored to meet all of your pet's changing needs as they grow. Open 7 days a week, Forever Vets' friendly staff is available to treat you and your pet with care. They combine extended hours with online booking to allow you to give your pet quality care while accommodating your schedule. Go online to forevervets.com to find which of their 8 offices is nearest you. And don't forget the newest location in Riverside, Forever Vets Animal Hospital, keeping your pets happy and healthy forever.
Be bold, Jacksonville, with Bold City Heating and Air. When it's hot, we turn on the AC. When it's colder, we flip on the heat. But are you getting the best value with your system? Hey, everyone, this is Brent Martineau. Insulation is an important part of comfort and efficiency in your home. At Bold City Heating and Air, they offer free consultations and quotes on your insulation. Call 904-379-1648 or check out boldcityac.com. 5-star reviews on Facebook and Google. Be bold, Jacksonville, with Bold City Heating and Air.
We have big rolls of carpet, hardwood too, laminates, hot area rocks for you. At the Carpet Man, at the Carpet Man.
Our prices are low, 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 low.
At the Carpet Man, at the Carpet Man.
Don't delay, we'll put it in next day.
At the Carpet Man, at the Carpet Man. Y'all come see us now, you hear? At the Carpet Man, at the Carpet Man.
Visit one of our mega flooring stores or go to carpetman.biz or
call 838-6705, the Carpet Man.
CGC Water Treatment is celebrating Connecticut's 50th year anniversary with 50% savings for you. Purchase a Premier softener and save 50% off a K5, Connecticut's premier reverse osmosis system. That's the one I have at my home. Hey, everyone, this is Brent Martineau. Get the peace of mind knowing you're drinking great-tasting purified water. Call 904-694-2242. Financing available with approved credit. 904-694-2242 or visit cgcwater.com. Tell them Brent sent you. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Connecticut dealer.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN690, a Cox Media Group station.
Hey, it's Trey Wingo from Golic and Wingo, and you're listening to ESPN 690.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Major League Baseball's pushed back opening day to at least mid-May, following the federal government recommendations restricting events of more than 50 people for the next 8 weeks due to the coronavirus pandemic. Huge trade in the NFL. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting Cardinals acquired star receiver DeAndre Hopkins and a 4th-round pick in next month's draft from the Texans for running back David Johnson, a 2nd-round pick, and a 2021 4th-rounder. Certainly, quarterback Deshaun Watson of the Texans will take issue with the deal, believes ESPN's Josina Anderson.
Obviously, Hopkins has been his security blanket for a long time. When you're talking about a guy who 5 of the 7 seasons has been over 1,000 yards, never been below 800, has 100-plus catches in 3 of those seasons as well. I mean, you're in the business of trying to acquire talent to try to go very far into the postseason.
Browns agreed with Austin Hooper, 4 years, $44 million, making him the highest-paid tight end in the NFL. Niners agreed with D lineman Eric Armstead, 5 years, $85 million.
Straight Talk Wireless has the full court cell phone coverage you need. Get the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G for just $45 a month, saving you up to half the cost of big carriers. Everything for less. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Anna Jar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anna Jar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
You know, the silver lining is guys got a chance to get healthy.
The difficult part is how many people that are out of work that really counted on it and really look forward to watching baseball be played. That's the difficult part. And we will get back to it, and I think we'll all appreciate, the game of baseball more when we come back because we miss it so much. But the silver lining is I think players got a chance to get healthy, that maybe their season will not be delayed in a sense now.
I think that's going to be the case in all sports, really. I think we are going to miss it. I think it's going to be, wow, look what we missed. We can't wait to be back at it in the sports world. I do think there's an element of that. That's Joe Girardi, who now is the manager of the Phillies after a little bit of a hiatus. Phillies, right? Yeah. Of course, that's why Kuz picked that, Philadelphia.
We play a lot of those. Well, yeah.
Kuz, what's the video game out now that you're so excited about?
Call of Duty Warzone.
Yeah, so that was smart, right?
Oh, I'm
Call
telling
of Duty,
you.
like, I know the stock market is tanking, but if you could buy stock in Call of Duty, not a bad idea right now.
Respawn, I believe, is but it's everyone was on it. Like, the servers crashed numerous times, and that doesn't normally happen to Call of Duty games.
If I was Nicole's dad and you just asked me if you could marry my daughter, I'd be concerned how much you play video games.
You'd be, yeah.
She'll put an end to that. It's okay.
To be fair, it's for work. I do a podcast about video games. That's what I tell her all the time. She gets mad at me playing video games. I'm like, it's research.
She said work and podcast in the same sentence, but
now,
sure.
Yeah, now I'm giving Nicole's dad advice.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. So Brent Martineau, Stuart Weber joined us from Action Sports Jacks. Kuz here on a Monday where NFL free agency frenzy is going bananas. I've got so many thoughts, and we'll continue to update you. Keep in mind, there are a lot of fake Twitter people out there that will report things. I have gotten so good at this.
They're going to try and get you.
That's for you, Nubs.
Watch for that blue check mark, everybody.
Yeah, I have gotten so much better at that. But it's a trap you can easily fall in right about now. But a lot of moving and shaking going on, including the big story here. It's got a lot of people's attention. Nick Foles drawing some interest. And I think I just saw Big Cat Country tweeted out a quote from Louis Riddick from ESPN saying, if I was Matt Nagy in Chicago, I'd go get Foles right now. Again, John DeFilippo is there. So could the Jags move Foles? We already believe there is a ton of momentum to say Gardner Minshew's the guy. I also am not going to be hypocritical here. I have said I believe at the end of the day, and I've said this for months, that Nick Foles will be on the roster in the fall. I just believe that because I didn't think they'd find a dance partner. Well, now it's starting to heat up that they could find a dance partner, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And if I said to somebody yesterday, if I was Nick Foles, I'd be asking out. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to compete with Gardner Minshew and the jorts and the aviators and everything else and the bandana. I didn't. This was supposed to be my team. That's what you brought me here to do. Now it's not that way, and it wasn't even really my fault. I got hurt. That was it. So I'd be asking out, and maybe the Jags get a reprieve in that sense, and maybe even some draft capital, but at least a reprieve from the dollars that Shad Khan would have to spend.
And before I jump into that, we do have another Schefter tweet.
This one's real?
Another deal in the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts trading the 13th overall pick in this year's draft to their first rounder for DeForest Buckner from the 49ers.
Wow.
And giving him a deal worth $21 million a year to make him the second highest paid defensive tackle, only behind Aaron Donald.
Wow. Now, keep in mind now, the Colts have a ton of money.
Leonard Fournette going to be even more pissed now.
So they traded their first
rounder this year.
And $21 million. Wow. That is a huge deal. I know they've got a ton of money, but I mean, is DeForest Buckner that good? He's been good.
He's all pro.
The Jags now, go back to that 16 draft, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Bosa, and DeForest Buckner were on their list. They couldn't have missed. I mean, the critics of Dave Caldwell, you couldn't have screwed it up. You really couldn't have. The two quarterbacks went off the board first, and if you picked in the top 5, you really could not have messed it up. If you were 3, 4, or 5, Jags would have done well with any of those guys. Interesting is Eric Armstead. San Francisco gave a deal to him. Most people thought he was going to be let go. They give him the deal.
And Buckner goes.
And the deal for Armstead, which now I forget.
5 for 85, I believe it was.
Should or could help Yannick Ngakoue in the long run. Whenever he signs a deal. Because Armstead has 19 career sacks.
And he made this sort of, yeah.
Yannick has 37.5 career sacks.
Right.
So I think that's a great move for Jan's camp to say, we told you the money. where it should be. Now, what's five? Help me with the math. 5 years, 85. That's what, $17 million a year?
17 a year. Yep.
So, again, that's good negotiation. That's a barometer now. That's a bottom line for Jan in terms of a long-term deal.
You're also paying for a guy on the rise with Armstead and the fact that he's coming off a double-digit sack season, 12 if you include the playoffs. So he's a guy who's on the way up, and you're paying for the trajectory of up. I don't want to fault Jan for being consistently awesome, but he's been that solid, awesome number the entire time. And if you're paying that kind of money to Armstead, you think he's going to keep giving you that sort of production that he did last year every year.
We highlighted 3 guys last night on Action Sports Jack's Primetime. I didn't think the Jags were going after Austin Hooper. I didn't think they'd get involved in that sweepstakes. They did not, and he ends up going to Cleveland. That was one of the guys. Armstead was another. My concern with Armstead is it just a one-year thing? Because other than that, he had a sack and a half and 2 sacks. And keep in mind how good that front was last year. Was he just a recipient of all that talent on that front 7? Really, that defensive line that could rotate people in and out. And so he had the monster year. San Francisco had the best front maybe in football last year. So I would be a little cautious of the Armstead deal, too. I wasn't that excited about it. I think you got a guy in Jan that I'd still like to see if they could figure something out with. And then the last guy was DJ Reader. I like that one. Of all the 3 guys we highlight, I think a DJ Reader deal, and I don't know what the heck he would covet in terms of dollars. I was equating it a little bit to the Eddie Goldman, former Florida State guy who signed with Chicago and got re-upped for 4 years, I think like $42 million. Maybe Reader's in that category. And again, I'm just guessing, but I don't mind that. A big body who filled in for Vince Wilfork very well. I think the Jags would do well to take a look at a guy like DJ Reader.
A lot of scuttlebutt about him possibly going to Denver as being a team that's really, really wants DJ Reader. Who knows if that's going to, end up being the way it goes, but certainly.
Say that one more time. I was reading something you said.
Denver apparently very interested in DJ Reader.
Yeah, so they're spending. Elway always spends.
Yeah.
The topic I had come up, I was thinking of, and listen, this isn't. Got to remember now. I
kind of threw us off the Foles topic there that we started
No.
up.
This is new information. We got to keep. Listen, you're going to get a lot of
Roll
this
the
today.
punches,
We're going to be all over the place today because there's new information coming in, and that Colts deal is wow. I mean, DeForest Buckner, holy cats. I mean, that is a big deal. Again, you're giving away your first-round pick,
which is
number
a
13,
starter for years to come. Is
and
the
paying
idea
$21 million. And keep in mind now, the first-round pick at 13, you could get Javon Kinlaw. Right? I mean, you could get a defensive lineman. I don't think Derek Brown's slipping that far, but you could even trade up, use some capital. Wow. I mean, that is a big move. And it also shows you know what else it shows you?
They want to win now.
They're going to get Phillip Rivers.
Right.
They are going to get Phillip Rivers. So, okay. Now, my spin might change a little bit here. My at least first outlook on this because of that, because Buckner now becomes a big body. They upgraded big time with him on defense. But here's my thought. If you look, I thought about this today, and I don't know if I was more of a discussion point, maybe a little sunshine and rainbowy, if you will. But the Jags sitting neutral here in free agency on day one, as it looks. Are they actually winning in the AFC South? And the reason I say it is this. As it sits right now, Indianapolis doesn't have a quarterback. Jacoby Brissett's okay, but you're not scared of him.
Yeah.
And they got so lucky last year when Andrew Luck left. I mean, the Jags and the rest of the AFC South got so lucky. All that draft capital, all the money that the Colts had, and Luck goes away. Imagine if they were building around him right now. Instead, they have to go get Rivers. And you know what? As much of a jag killer as Rivers has been, there are serious questions if Rivers is losing his fastball. I mean, he is getting up there. Just because Tom Brady plays until he's 43 or 44, just because Drew Brees plays until he's 40, 41, it doesn't mean every guy is going to do that.
It's a long drive from San Diego to Indianapolis every week, too, back and forth.
And he's a statue guy. He can't move at all. I always say Drew Brees moves pretty well for 40 years old still. So that is a good offensive line, though. I can't discount that. I'm not saying the Colts are bad. I'm just wondering, I'm not that, afraid of the Colts, maybe because the Jags have always matched up well with them anyway. Tennessee obviously kept what they had. They tagged Derrick Henry, and they give Tannehill the long-term deal. But if you're looking at the next 2, 3, 4 years out, Tannehill doesn't scare me. I think they did him a favor.
Yeah.
I think the Titans did the Jags and the rest of the South a favor by saying he's our guy. You know why? Because even if he's good, he's okay good. He's not elite good. He's not unbelievable good. There's no way he's even getting to that stratosphere. I think they did the rest of the division a favor by assigning Tannehill to that kind of extension. And then, obviously, Deshaun Watson is the cream of the crop in terms of quarterbacks. He's the star of the AFC South quarterbacks. But they just took away his best weapon, and Will Fuller, who is their second best weapon, is usually hurt half the year. So, and Bill O'Brien's making all the calls, and I just don't trust that if I'm Texans right now. So, I'm quietly thinking, like, the Jags, this year I'm not saying they're going to beat all these teams.
Right.
But they're now loading up on cap space, loading up on draft capital. And the big caveat is if Minshew, if he's the guy. I mean, and if they can turn these picks into something, I get all that. It's a big if. But I just feel like the Jags sitting tight today are watching all this around them, and nobody in the AFC South is making moves that says, whoa, we're going to be good for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and we've got a stranglehold on the division. It's still up for grabs, even with the Buckner move, and even if Rivers is the guy in Indianapolis.
But the Colts do think that is going to be their best path to success in the short term. So that's kind of the reason why they're going to it. Now, I kind of get what you're saying with if we're looking at the long term, and that's kind of what the Jaguars have indicated here the last couple days.
And when I say long-term, I mean long-term in the NFL is 2-3 years.
Yeah, 2-3 years. Right. It's not this year. It's essentially the long-term is what we're talking about in that regard. But with making the moves of Calais Campbell, with getting rid of A.J. Boye, with who knows what happens here with Nick Foles and this whole deal going on right now, you're talking about a team that is looking at the quote-unquote long-term in the NFL, so 2, maybe 3 years from now, which is really going to piss off everyone who's listening and everyone who's a Jaguars fan because they've been waiting for the long term for the 2 or 3 years for what seems like a decade, and they only had it the one time happen.
I'm not asking Jags fan to be patient.
Correct.
It's not our job to do that.
No, not at all. We'll let the people inside the building do all that fun and explain to you why you should do that and still buy tickets and all the fun stuff that comes along with it. But, yeah, I mean, your point is valid in the fact that, hey, the Jaguars can kind of sit back and watch all this stuff happen and start to do their game plan, their process towards the future and be like, okay, we're happy with this. We like what we're seeing, what's going on out there.
Yeah, they listen, the Jags have to make a lot of good moves and sensible decisions. And I don't think we're going to get into it right today. Maybe we will. But
a lot of draft picks is great, but you have to make the right picks with them.
Yeah, and I think the bigger thing is, are they starting from a place that is way better than the last time we went through this?
Sure.
And you know, if you go back to all the way back to 13, 14, 15, and let's just take that time frame. We know 13 was a throwaway year. I mean, it was a strip down of the roster. It was the worst roster ever created in the history of the league, perhaps. That's just the way it was. And then I'll take you to 15. They still had a ton of cap space. They could spend more money than anybody in the league, and so they could make the moves like the Malik Jacksons of the world going into 16 and Calais Campbell and A.J. Boye and those kind of moves. They could make those splash. Well, they've got like $50 million to play with now in cap space. They're going to get even more space next year depending on what goes on with Nick Foles. They can even move more guys. Norwell will be available, cut. You can cut him after next year.
Yeah.
More money available. So, and then we know all the draft picks. And I get it. They haven't done a good job. But the bottom line is you can get good in a hurry. It's not 2013 or 14. They're really starting from a base of 2015 or better. Because I'll give you players that I think a lot of teams would take. DJ Chark, Brandon Linder. And by the way, go look at Linder's salary. It's like 15th, 16th in the league for centers. He's a good player at that rate. He might not be elite. He's never proven that. But he's a good player at that rate. I don't know what they have in Minshew.
A lot of people will always remember he was the highest paid center. Well,
absolutely.
That's just the way the business works.
That's years bias
yes,
now.
That's been a few years now.
Fournette is there for now. I don't know if he'll be there in 2 or 3 years. And now you're not going to fifth-year option him because of the new rule that changed with the CBA.
Yeah.
Listen, they don't have studs on offense. I'm talking about some young guys. And Minshew's a big caveat here, but DJ Chark looks the part. Linders can still get it done. Jawan Taylor still getting it. I mean, he looks the part.
And you have a bunch of unknowns, too, when you talk about guys like Josh Oliver, who we really never got to see.
Yeah,
fully
so I can't give him credit for that yet.
You can't give him that. But you have these young pieces, and you can say it on the defense, too. They obviously like Quincy Williams enough to go get him, and obviously we'll see what happens with the linebacking position moving forward. But the young cornerbacks, I mean, if you move on from a guy like A.J. Boye, they at least internally have to have some sort of confidence in the guys that they have inside that building to say, hey, we like Trey Herndon, we like our other guys that we have enough to be able to say, okay, if we got to run these two out there, we're going to run these two out there.
Here's the deal. I believe if you're going to build something and try to flip it quick, you need 6 to 8 guys at a core level that you like and you really like, and you expect to produce and be here and get better every single year.
Not including the kicker and punter. Those don't count.
Yeah, true. Chark, Linder, even Fournette right now is produced, but Jawan Taylor. I'm not even going to say Fournette because I don't know if he's here in 2 years or even 3.
Sure,
so I'll say
3.
Chark, Linder, and Taylor at the very least. We can debate all the other ones, but I'll give you 3 on offense that I think still have the next 3 years to produce at a good level and grow. I mean, Linder's probably who he is, but the other 2 can grow. On the defensive side, you have, I'm going to include him because he's on the roster, Yannick, but also Josh Allen. And I'll give you Miles Jack that they believe in. Can he get back to the form? That's a different question. So if you take those 5 or 6 guys, however you want to do it, maybe that's not enough. But now you couple it in with all these draft picks and money that becomes available. And the big question mark is the if of Minshew. They have a guy in their stable that they like. Is he the guy? Well, that's certainly debatable. And we'll find out a little bit more after this year. But we know this. If he's not the guy, they most likely will be in a position next year to draft a guy because – and they got the capital to move up if they want to do that.
You have 2 first-round draft picks next year as well.
So, yes, it's still about making good decisions. But my point is they're more at the 2015 stage of this than the 13 or 14 stage of it.
Thank goodness, because it was so bad.
It was so bad. But I'll give you an example of a team that did. I mean, San Francisco is the greatest example of that. You know, they invested in their quarterback, but they were still taking a chance on him. And quite frankly, he hasn't become Patrick Mahomes. But they did enough stuff around him with their draft capital, some of the moves they made here or there, and look where they ended up. So
I think a large part of their ascension, too, and why it was such a big jump is because you had that year gap when Garoppolo got hurt. So it might be a unique scenario in the fact that they kind of had this 2-year jump, if you really want to look at it, where they might have been in the middle somewhere in that Garoppolo hurt season before they made that huge jump.
Well, they got lucky.
Yeah.
In a weird way, getting to the Super Bowl got faster because Garoppolo got hurt because they picked up Bosa.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
That's why. So that's what that helped them. That fortified that defense, but they got lucky. So the Jags along the way will have to get lucky.
It's kind of like how the Colts did with Andrew Luck, right? It was that same idea.
It was a perfect gap
they had Peyton. Peyton had got, the injuries.
And then they won one game.
They were awful. They get Andrew Luck. Boom, fit him right back in there.
And so the Jags could go on. A couple things could happen. Their luck piece is Minshew, or they could be so bad that they get Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, who knows where it goes?
Sure.
But I just think they're in a better spot from where they've been to do this. Now, again, I know what you're telling me on social media right now probably, and I know what you're yelling at me in your car or on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or wherever you're watching, and that is, yeah, but Dave Caldwell's making the picks. I get it. But whoever's making the calls, they're going to have to make the good decisions. If they don't make good decisions, they don't get a little lucky here or there, well, we know where it's going to be. My point is they're in a position that's better than it's been, believe it or not. Is it better for 2020 than the rest of the division? No. But is it better maybe 2 or 3 years down the road than the rest of the division? I think that's debatable. I think a lot of people would sign up for what the Jags have in terms of a few core players that are pretty good, the capital, and the money that will be available over 2020 and 2021 to make some moves. So we'll see where it goes from there in that regard. Nothing new on the Nick Foles front, it doesn't look like. The big news of the last 20 minutes is the Colts trade for DeForest Buckner and then hand him $21 million. And they also lose their 13th overall pick, the first-round pick. You know, this is a really good deal. in terms of fortifying a line and getting better and spending your money. But I don't like giving up my 13th overall pick for a team that doesn't have a young quarterback. They could have used that to get one of these guys, whether it's Jordan Love or I don't think Tua is slipping that far.
Right.
But again, they look good today, and they're going to go after Phillip Rivers, and I think they'll look good this week. And it will be good for 2020. I don't know where it leaves them down the road in search of a young quarterback. How
many years does Phillip Rivers have left, even at the level he played last year?
Let's just say 2.
Yeah.
I would play. If I was the Colts, I'd plan on 2. But I'm not sold on Rivers. I'm not sure how many people are right now. Again, they've got a very good offensive line, though, so that's not a bad place to be. That is a huge deal, though, for the Indianapolis Colts to do what they just did. They've been relatively quiet from a spending spree standpoint. They've had a bunch of money the last 2 years, and now they just went big bucks to DeForest Buckner. There's an interesting part of this, what happens with Foles. If he does end up going, where does that put the Jags in terms of searching for a quarterback? You know, they're picking top 10. They've got 2 first-round picks. Do they make a run at a quarterback this year just to buy some insurance at the very least if Minshew isn't the guy? It will show you how confident they are depending on what they do at that position. Of course, they do have Josh Dobbs, who they acquired for a 5th-round pick. So there's a lot of dominoes that could fall if Nick Foles is traded away. Now, the reports from Adam Schefter say the Jags are holding tight on him. They're not just giving him away. What does that say about the battle that might ensue in the fall? Are they as committed to Minshew as many of us, myself included, believe? Or is Nick Foles very much in play to be the starting quarterback in 2020 for the Jags?
It's interesting because you think about that Foles contract, and every single person outside of that building looking into it, looking at that contract, thinks it's awful right now. Thinks it was just a huge mistake, and that's based on Foles' performance last year, but then also the very legitimate chance that you've got a backup quarterback making that much money. And if you're thinking that way, and like I said, I don't know if they're thinking that way inside the building, but everybody else is thinking that way. If there is any legitimate offer to take that off your hands, to get that out of your building and to let you kind of reset in a way on that quarterback position. Obviously, you have Minshew still coming back, obviously, and he was such a great part of the 2019 season. Sorry, he was the great part of the 2019 season, the only great part of the entire year. But if you have that chance to kind of bail on this, Foles time in Jacksonville, why aren't you taking that? Why wouldn't that be something I don't understand how it can be something that is so stuck to them, something that they so want to hang on to when every other indicator looks at it and says, why? Why would you be so secure with that when you can kind of refresh and get a start look?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One, because it's really only $3 million in savings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to do much for them. They're still going to have $18.5 million in dead cap, even if they got rid of them. So they're not saving a bunch. So, therefore, you're talking about $3 million. Now, Shad Khan might be saying otherwise because it's cold, hard cash for him. Yeah. But they have to pay his salary. I'm talking about against the books. It's about a $3 million difference in keeping him than losing him. So, it's not like you're clearing $15 million out or $33 million of the dead cap or anything like that. It's funny money on the books. And so, if I'm Doug Marrone, and I've said this all along, if I'm Doug Marrone and all we're doing is saving $3 million or moving around money for $3 million, I want both of these guys so they give me the best chance to win since we're not sold on Gardner Minshew yet. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe they are, and they're all in on it, and they're willing to move. But I think these things showcase the Jags just aren't going to get a bag of sunflower seeds in return for Nick Foles and be happy with it.
That's what the Texans do.
Speaking of the Texans, what are the Texans doing? The Hopkins move, Bill O'Brien. Again, this is part of the reason why I think the Jags sitting still on day one, you almost feel better if you're in their building than you do if you're in Houston's building. No doubt people in Houston right now are like, should we trust this guy? What is happening here? What is happening in Houston? We'll talk about it. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 rolls on here on a Monday. Things are crazy. Stay tuned until 6 o'clock because we've got moves happening all over the league. The Jags remain quiet on day one, and I think that will continue all the way until Wednesday afternoon. Maybe a couple moderate moves, but I don't think any of the big splash moves, which is different around here because there have been splash after splash after splash. in recent memory for the Jacksonville Jaguars during this week. Brent Martin, Stuart Weber, Coos here on a Monday. You're welcome to jump in, 904-362-9901.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Much cooler to start off the week with partly sunny skies and spotty rain showers arriving in the afternoon with a high near 73. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low near 61. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Alyssa Pedjick.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where 0% financing for 5 years has been held over. Find out more at beardsdiamonds.com.
CGC Water Treatment is celebrating Connecticut's 50th year anniversary with 50% savings for you. Purchase a Premier Softener and save 50% off a K5, Connecticut's premier reverse osmosis system. That's the one I have at my home. Hey everyone, this is Brent Martineau. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Financing available with approved credit. Don't waste money on bottled water. Call 904-694-2242 or visit cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Connecticut dealer.
As the coronavirus spreads across the country and into Florida, Action News Jax is keeping a close eye on the outbreak. I'm Action News Jax anchor Tanika Hughes. Our newscasts are dedicated to giving you the latest information on the virus.
And I'm John Bachman. From live reports from our governor to updates from the CDC, we're here to give you calm advice, common sense approaches to help stop the spread.
On air, on actionnewsjax.com, on our news app, and live streaming on Action News Jax Now.
While the rest of the country is focused on the madness in North Florida, it's all about cigars at Aroma Stogie Fest, the area's largest annual celebration of all things cigar and Topacania. Join Brent Martineau and Austin Lane from ESPN690 Action Sports Jacks as they broadcast live on Friday, March 27th from 3 to 6 p.m. And you can win Stogie Fest VIP tickets and other great prizes. The ESPN690 Action Sports Jacks live broadcast from Aroma Stogie Fest is brought to you by Investor Financial. Learn more at stogiefest.com.
Be bold, Jacksonville, with Bold City Heating and Air. When it's hot, we turn on the AC. When it's colder, we flip on the heat. But are you getting the best value with your system? Hey, everyone, this is Brent Martineau. Insulation is an important part of comfort and efficiency in your home. At Bold City Heating and Air, they offer free consultations and quotes on your insulation. Call 904-379-1648 or check out boldcityac.com. 5-star reviews on Facebook and Google. Be bold, Jacksonville, with Bold City Heating and Air.
They say it should be impossible for bumblebees to fly because their wings are too small for their bodies. But bumblebees don't care. They just fly. Bright Expectations is dedicated to helping our Florida residents with special needs and unique abilities find the resources, support, and inspiration that they and their families need to break barriers and achieve their dreams. Visit www.brightexpectations.com to start your journey today.
This message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Health, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
After a long day, having my dogs meet me at the door with their silly smiles and wagging tails makes me happy. I want to keep that joy with me for years to come. That's why I trust Forever Vets Animal Hospital to keep my pets healthy. Forever Vets was voted 2019's Best Vet in Jacksonville Magazine's Readers Poll, and it's easy to see why. The affordable wellness plans are tailored to meet all of your pet's changing needs as they grow. Open 7 days a week, Forever Vets' friendly staff is available to treat you and your pet with care. They combine extended hours with online booking to allow you to give your pet quality care while accommodating your schedule. Go online to forevervets.com to find which of their 8 offices is nearest you. And don't forget the newest location in Riverside, Forever Vets Animal Hospital, keeping your pets happy and healthy forever.
Ready, set, go to Arlington Toyota during the Ready, Set, Go construction sales event. Have you been by Arlington lately? Construction is underway for their new state-of-the-art showroom. And while the dust is flying, so are the amazing deals. Thanks to Arlington's Ready, Set, Go construction sales event. How about a 2020 Toyota Camry? It's not $26,995. Now it's only $22,791. Yeah, $22,791 for a pre-owned 2020 Toyota Camry at Arlington Toyota. For your family needs, how about a 2019 Toyota Toyota Sienna. It's not $28,225. No, now it's just $22,691. $22,691 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Sienna. Plus, you'll get the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club, including a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles with your purchase. Ready, set, go to the construction sales event happening now at Arlington Toyota, and pay up to 50% less on 2019s and even 2020s. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard or online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/readysetgo for offer details.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with an experienced real estate team with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Minimum fee may apply. Not licensed in all 50 states. Visit rexhomes.com to see if Rex is available in your area. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Jake Mitchell. The big news over the weekend is the Jags traded away the mayor of Saxonville for the next to nothing to the Ravens. Calais Campbell is on his way to Baltimore for a fifth-round pick less than 2 months after being named NFL Man of the Year and Defensive MVP of the Pro Bowl. Here's Diana Rossini, ESPN NFL Insider.
Calais Campbell is still playing at nearly an elite level. I mean, what a great grab for Baltimore.
NFL free agency kicked off today, and it's hot and heavy. Many teams tagging and signing players. Keep listening to ESPN 690 for updates. Stay connected with ESPN 690 while you're at work by listening on ESPN690.com. Best kept secret of tires is TireOutlet.com. Tire Outlet offers wholesale prices with premium service. TireOutlet.com always has a safety-first focus. Locations throughout the First Coast, there's no need to go anywhere else for tires and service.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. There's a good chance you have a smart speaker, so use it with ESPN 690. Stay up to date on the Jags and all things sports by telling Alexa or Google to play ESPN 690. It's as easy as that. Make sure you listen weekdays 3 until 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jack.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anna Jar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Welcome back, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Brent Martineau along with Stuart Weber from Action Sports Jacks. Austin Lane on the slopes.
Kind of jealous right now. It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty cool.
Although
right?
a lot of ski resorts are closing.
Yeah, actually, we have some friends of the family. I mean, I don't know if, I think there are several families out in Colorado, and they were there for like a day, and they said, oh, we're closing. And so it just depends where you are, and it's hit or miss what's going on out there right now. And again, I think we're going to get to a point. I said this yesterday, and every time you tweet something now, it feels like it's got to be politically driven, especially if it's not about sports. That's why I love sports, because you're usually in a safe haven.
Usually,
I'm just saying, like, we've got family up in Ohio, and the stuff that's going on in Ohio and Illinois, and I think even California. And by the way, so that's Ohio, that's usually a Republican state, and California, it's a Democrat state.
So it doesn't matter.
So it's not political.
Yep.
It's just they're on the forefront of closing stuff down. Like, no doubt about it. Those places are way ahead. I don't know about way ahead, but I would say a couple of days ahead of everybody else in terms of restaurants and bars and everything. It's happening. I mean, it's going to happen. I don't even know what the latest is because we've been talking, but officials are talking daily and addressing the media daily and addressing people daily, and they're closing things down. And my take on this, and I don't know if it's educated enough, but my take is kind of they did not want to freak everybody out with overwhelmingly saying stuff last Wednesday
but now
or
it's
Thursday.
like they have to.
Well, but now that people are going on spring break still and partying and going out to the beaches and partying and they're all around each other, they kind of gave everybody 4 or 5 days to do this on your own and take it serious. And now they're kind of saying, all right, it's time to step on the gas here and move.
You were kind of saying in terms of update, while you were talking, the White House apparently came out and advised people not to gather in groups of more than 10. And so it's getting real.
Yeah, it is real, and it's going to be that way. I still have no idea what to expect. I have no idea what it's going to feel like or look like. I mean, it's just bizarre. I was driving home yesterday, and I was listening to the radio side of it. There were some press conferences going on, and people talk. I don't usually listen to like the news on radio, but I was listening, and if you did not know what had happened for like 3 days, there were times on the drive home when I'm listening, I'm like, we're in a movie. Like we were in the middle of a movie. Yeah. It's like one of those movies that I turn on at 12:30 at night when I get home from work, and it's bizarre, and I get hooked on it.
We are living it. Was it the Twilight Zone, the one that was famous for airing on radio, and it created a panic? People thought it was real. People thought it was real. It really sounds like some of that stuff. But I was telling Stuart in one of the breaks, my brother's out in Spain right now for study abroad.
Wow.
And that went from now we're fine to in 2 days everything's shut down. He's not allowed to leave the house unless it's for work or grocery store stuff.
But I'm not calling anybody out either because I'm guilty of it, man. I am guilty. I've said it for the last few days. I'm like as stubborn as the rest of society, and it's kind of like, is this really happening here? Like I feel fine, or I actually think a big part, now it's not that great today, but the last 5 days of weather has made it very difficult for people to adapt to this because the weather is so nice, you feel like nothing's wrong in life right now. Our weather is so good. How can anything be wrong?
Mid-March, 80 degrees, we need to go outside and take advantage of it. Yeah, Coos, along those same lines. I mean, I've got tons of family in Holland, and my cousin just had a baby like less than a month ago.
Yeah.
So it's like,
scary.
It is. When you think about it, it's like, okay, well, I hope it doesn't come anywhere near them in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's but again, I say this: if you don't believe what's going on, and I don't know, I guess there's all sorts of stuff out there. Again, I'm not a political guy,
right?
But the only thing I am tracking and saying this has to be a big deal. If people are willing to lose millions of dollars in a world that is driven
billions.
by dollars, I'm talking about millions and billions of dollars overall. But I mean, businesses are now freely losing millions of dollars. They're not getting stubborn about it. There's got to be something up that's really big. And
freely and not freely, because the stock market is also taking away money.
Yes, true. So I think, you got to listen. I mean, the bottom line is you got to listen. We all have to listen, and you have to do the right thing. I don't even know if being like right here is the right thing, honestly. I think that we're all battling that. I mean, I went to the grocery store today just to pick up like 4 items, and it was fine. It wasn't a bad experience. I went Friday to Costco just because I wanted to see if it was like a circus, and it really wasn't that bad. But they were out of toilet paper and all that other stuff. So, but I'm sitting there and I'm asking myself like how is this good that even grocery stores are open right now? I mean, you touch things, if that's what it is and that's how it's spread, it's really impossible to move around without possibly spreading it.
Yeah.
And so you get what they're saying and doing just to try to at least minimize it, and obviously do all the things that they say right now. I have no idea where it's headed, but I also, the more and more you think about it, more you read up on it, it makes a ton of sense from a medical standpoint, how overwhelmed they're going to be. And I thought the greatest example of that, and yes, it's a sports show, it's NFL free agency, we'll talk about it, but just a quick opinion, because we're all living this, man. We all have families.
It's all affecting us.
It affects everybody.
Changes the way everyone works.
It's not
right
just
now.
that we don't have sports, but I thought the scene in the airports, which now I think the government said they didn't have a good enough plan in place at places like O'Hare and Dallas, that if take that scene and apply it to like hospitals in our medical field, that's eye-opening to me. That's what was like, whoa, if that's what it could look like, that I get what they're trying to do and tell everybody to slow down and get away from each other and at least to minimize this and spread it out. So it makes a lot of sense. Those medical people, by the way, I don't have to say that they're smart. They're already smart, but there's a lot on their plate. If you listen to them talk, tough deal. All over the world.
The one thing I've noticed is that I touch my face a lot.
I do too.
And
I have allergies right now.
And you have allergies.
Right?
But you always do this time of year.
Well, yeah, the pollen is so bad the last week for me. Like that's why I'm stuffed up a little bit.
Correct.
And it's so hard not to touch your face.
Yeah. I just do it anyways. I don't know why. I always do.
Yeah.
And I see it like on the live stream, like, man, I'm really
I will say, though, once we get back to shaking hands, whenever that is, I will have the cleanest hands I've ever had.
That's right.
Because I actually have washed my hands way more than ever.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
I was reading the thing that it's like, now instead, like it was a list of ways to greet people instead of shaking hands. It's like not, just nod at someone. I was like, honestly, that's what I do now. So I just nod at people.
Yeah. I think one of the great places to be right now, and again, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be encouraging anybody to be out of their house, but the golf course.
Yeah.
The golf course this weekend, and we're working a story on this for maybe even tomorrow. But I know down in Southampton, they normally do like 200 to 220 rounds, I think it is, this time of year, with the Players' Championship, all that other stuff. I think in a 4-day span, they did like 266, 263, 274, and 250 something.
People are golfing.
Way above normal. Now, some of that weather, some of that players getting canceled, so you have golf people in town maybe. But I also heard like Hidden Hills, they like ran out of golf carts because they had so many people. In golf, if you think about it, the commissioner, when he canceled the Players' Championship, his last statement was, go support your local golf courses. Now, that was before everybody was even more staying inside. But his point wasn't wrong. I mean, it's out in the open. And think about, I even thought the new rule with the flag staying in the hole, you don't even have to take the flag out. So as long as the carts are clean, you really don't have to interact with anybody on a golf course.
Just your own golf clubs.
But
you're sitting next to somebody in the golf cart.
But also you got to be careful because it's in the older demographic golfs.
Right. Yeah.
And it really doesn't sound like the older demographic, depending on your health and everything, it's a smart thing to be too far away from your living room right now.
Right. Well, this weekend, Nicole and I obviously went to the beach. There were a lot of people at the beach, and I was kind of surprised about that. I was wondering it could go either way. Either people were going to stay in and there weren't going to be a lot of people out there, but the beaches were packed.
Yeah, that one to me doesn't make a lot of sense why they didn't.
And people were close. There was that joke, a guy drew a circle around him. Like I've seen that going around, but it's just a lot of people.
I've said it multiple times. Disney World, right? They didn't close until Sunday. And did you see the people in Disney? We're so stubborn. Like, we really are. I mean, we're not smart sometimes.
People don't realize the reason that they were closing it on Sunday is to keep everyone away from each other. But everyone went on the last day because it was the last day they could go for a while.
And listen, I'm not saying I'm not guilty of it. I'm not. It's just we're foolish sometimes. Speaking of, I just want to let's see if I find this tweet. Ralph Russo, I think he writes for the AP out of New York. I'm pretty sure. He said today, local sports radio is going to be a wasteland of misinformation and half-baked public health takes as dudes who spend most of their time explaining why it's important to establish the run game, blah, 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 talk about this stuff. Hey, shut up, Ralph. First of all, I'm smarter than you, Ralph, kind of guy. That's what that take was. It's like I'm smarter than everybody else in the world, and sports people are dumb. But I think right now we're all going through. This is more like from a psychology standpoint, we're all kind of going through this thing together and battling. And some people maybe have more information than others. Some people are smarter than others on it, sure. But we're all guessing. To a degree, we're all guessing, and you just got to listen to people in the know.
I was joking with my coworkers. I was like, I got a friend that's a physical trainer. I'm going to ask him to give me, 8 workouts people can do from their house. I'm going to type up a blog and just put it out there so people can do something while they're stuck at home.
I think there's a lot of good things coming from it. The Players' Championship, obviously. I think I saw something like $700,000 worth of meals they helped distribute over the weekend from the excess food at the Players' Championship. Billy Horschel, what he did with Feeding Northeast Florida. I think Major League Baseball just came out with $1 million pledge to help feed kids that are go hungry and aren't able to have free lunch at schools, places like that. I mean, I think
different
really
NBA guys stepping up to help out
NBA.
the workers at the arenas that aren't going to get that paycheck.
Yeah, and even Rudy Gobert, right? I mean, the gesture he made after obviously having a bad moment too. It's pretty incredible. There'll be good things that come out of it. Yeah. The other good thing I think about will come out of it is some of the sports journalism we'll see, because no sports are going on. I think there'll be this enormous amount of creativity, and I think we'll get a whole new perspective on some things. I hope we can do it locally and try to document it. That's what we're working on, not just on the radio side, but on the TV side. It's going to be a fascinating deal. And what I continue to say is, what's it going to look like in our world, which is a sports world, when we come out of it? Will it be this boom because we missed it so much? Will things be changed like schedules? Will the NBA now shift to what, who was it recently that suggested, was it Houston Rockets? No, I don't think it was, that suggested a December to July, August schedule. Could we see that? Major League Baseball going from 162 games, maybe they go back to the 144 games or a smaller or a shrunk down season, not just this year, but maybe they adopt it. I mean, when we see things like that, it'll be fascinating to see.
Same thing with NASCAR, too, in the aspect that are we going to get more midweek races as they try to get some of these in that have been postponed? And people have been asking for more midweek stuff for a while now and condensing the schedule. So maybe this is a way that they get a little dry run at it and see what it looks like.
And I know with the NBA, they were always toying about trying to have like a mid-season tournament. There were a lot of stuff that they were trying to work with. Obviously, the All-Star game this year was like to kind of test some of that. Well, now this may just be like, well, we're going to have a wonky season. Why not just start it now? So there was a lot of talk about potentially doing stuff like that. Maybe when they come back, they just go jump right into the playoffs. Because like you were saying, I mean, other than probably the 8th seed for the West was either going to be one team or the other. Everyone else, the seeding can jump, but they're going to make the playoffs. So you could just jump into that and then maybe come back with a beginning of season tournament type style. So it sounds like they can just play around with it.
I think there will be some innovation, some changes, and things like that. Kuz, if you don't mind, let's just take it to the top. Is that okay? Because this feeds actually into something. Adam Schefter, I think it was last night on Scott Van Pelt, he got really worked up about the NFL continuing on with the league year the way it was. There was some talk over the weekend that a lot of folks around the league did not want it to happen, didn't think it was the right thing to do, and the NFL said, you know what, we're doing it. We agreed to the CBA, which, by the way, we haven't even talked about yet. That's a done deal, and we're moving on with the league year. That fell into place today at noontime, and the legal tampering part of it. And now it's too late. You can't do anything about it. You either had to make the call by noon or not. And Wednesday at 4 o'clock, the league year will begin. What does that mean for physicals and all this other stuff around the league year and all these millions and millions of dollars of contracts is something that the NFL and teams and personnel will have to deal with. I think it is a little bit of a we're bigger and better than everything kind of approach for the NFL. Although I don't see too many people from a fan perspective complaining. There's a lot going on. It's taking your mind off all the coronavirus coverage. At least in the world we live in, it's being appreciated. But this was a roll of the dice by the NFL to run with the league year when everybody else is stopping business, especially when you're talking about tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars being exchanged when some people are really fighting for a paycheck. Here's Adam Schefter on the topic.
Now, I know it's not a sporting event, but their argument is, guess what? Teams are now going to have to get private planes, which include pilots in the air, to fly free agents to buildings. And if those free agents are going to sign with those teams, they're going to want to take physicals because before they invest millions of dollars into a player, they're going to want to send him to a local hospital, which means that they're going to have to take some of the people away from the people that really need hospital workers and help. And they're going to have to perform MRIs on these players so they can sign millions of dollars of contracts at a time where our economy is tanking. And so they don't understand how the NFLPA could allow this to happen. And I had a number of officials say, how could Roger Goodell not step in and stop this from happening? Now, again, a collectively bargained issue, and Roger Goodell would need the help of the NFLPA. But in this particular case, the question that I encountered tonight was, he's the leader of the NFL. Why does he not step in and exert his will at a time when our country is in crisis and it needs leadership in the worst way possible?
That's Adam Schefter last night on Scott Van Pelt, and it was obviously very passionate. I'm going to give you my take on it at first. I was like, I'll settle down, Schefter. That's what I really said. And then I started thinking about it more. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? He's got a good point on a lot of those things. Did it have to happen now? I still wonder about physicals. I wonder about the medical field and what. I don't know. Is it as dramatic as he just presented? I'm not sure of that. But I think there is legit concern on teams' parts of spending money and big dollars and not knowing if they can get the physicals they need and how to do that and how to process that. Maybe they have a lot of these things in place and how it's going to go down. But it still is a little bit bizarre when everything else stops. The NFL says, you know what, we're the NFL. We'll do whatever the heck we want. So I do think it has a little bit of that feel to it. I don't know if I like it. Doesn't sit well with me. I also don't know if even players are allowed to maybe fly on private jets and all those other things. If we're not supposed to be moving around, we shouldn't be moving around. The NFL should be taking a lead. They're a big influencer like all the other sports world has done. So I actually, after thinking about it more, agree more with Schefter's point than I initially did when I was like, whatever, dude, they're just transactions.
Yeah, the flying thing's interesting. A friend of mine on social media is a pilot and showed a picture of his plane. They took a picture with the whole, all the people flying. It was 9 of them. It was 9 people flying on that flight.
Yeah, there's a lot of those flights that are just absolutely empty, right?
And a lot of these airlines are limiting the amount of flights that they're sending up because of that exact point. But if it's a private jet, I mean, that's social distancing.
That's a good point.
If it's just you and the pilot on there.
It is, Stuart, but you're still going into a facility, right?
Yeah.
You're still bringing people in. Like a lot of teams are now working from home. So any of the stuff that brings people to work when they don't need to be at work, is it the right thing to be doing right now? I'm not like this self-righteous, got to do everything because public perception might. I'm not getting like that here. I just think it's a fair conversation. And I actually tend to agree with Schefter more than it felt like the NFL does this sometimes. It feels like the NFL says, again, we're the NFL. We'll do whatever the heck we want, and our fans are going to love it because they want something. And you know what? They're not wrong.
Yeah.
But we're not going to go out of our way, is what it feels like, to push off everything for 2 months just because everybody else is doing it. We're instead going to take advantage of being the organization doing something once again, which the NFL is already indirectly, and this is not their own fault. They've become so big that they already influence other sports, calendars, schedules, races.
Well, that's the ironic thing right
NBA
now.
Potentially.
The ironic thing is that they're the only one that really doesn't have anything major going on this time of year. Baseball is getting ready. Hockey, basketball in season, racing, golf in season. Everybody else, soccer in season, except for the NFL. And yet, it's the NFL who's going to be grabbing all these headlines because they're the only show in town, so to speak, even though there's no games. But what they're doing is noteworthy.
Yeah, and by the way, we're spending 3 hours talking about it. I'm going to spend TV tonight talking about it. We'll do it again tomorrow and Wednesday. I'm not that mad at it necessarily.
Right, sure.
And I think all the people listening and the fans, they're not mad at it either.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I've said this a couple of times in the last few days quietly, not really on in front of a microphone. But in a way, our business, like locally, we are extremely lucky. I don't know what our business is going to look like on the other side of this. I don't know. I don't know what it means for sports radio. I don't know what it means for advertising. I don't know what it means for TV. I really don't, from a local sports standpoint or national sports standpoint. But we're damn sure lucky this didn't happen in the fall, because if we had lost the NFL, we would feel it 10 times worse. So selfishly, the timing is actually the best it could have been from a dollar standpoint. On so many different levels, the NFL really makes a lot of things work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, now they're kind of keeping us busy here on a Monday as the free agency frenzy continues. Got to get to Calais Campbell. He was part of the movement. And was it the right move by the Jags? Our take on that. Did they get enough in return, or was it a smart move by the Jags, but we just don't want to admit it? It's next on ESPN 690.
Hey, boss! You're not gonna believe who I just heard endorsing Safe Touch Security on the radio.
Who?
Bill O'Reilly.
The Bill O'Reilly?
Yep.
You're yanking my chain.
I thought you might say that, which is why I recorded this off the radio. Listen.
So please call my friends at Safe Touch Security and get true professional equipment, professional installation, and the only monitoring center anywhere with a guaranteed response time.
This is not good news. Now more people will feel compelled to check out Safe Touch, and they'll find out about the two-way communicator and that guaranteed response time he was talking about.
Which will create more Safe Touch customers.
See? Not good news for us crooks.
'Cause we gotta stick to the Crooks or Us motto.
Stay away from Safe Touch houses.
Dang it, Bill O'Reilly's making our job harder.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
Free financing at Beard's Diamonds has been held over.
Yes, get zero interest financing for 5 years on anything and everything.
Yes, get free financing on eternity bands, all wedding bands, all diamond bracelets, even loose diamonds, and more.
5 years on anything and everything.
But hurry, while our free financing has been extended, it won't last long.
How about a $6,000 designer setting?
You pay just $100 a month and spread your payments out over 60 months.
How about a GIA certified diamond with a Decoria Veragio setting for $12,000?
You pay just $200 a month.
Pick out that one-of-a-kind piece, then divide your total by 60, and that's what you pay a month.
But hurry, this incredible 5-year zero-interest financing store-wide won't last long.
Beard's Diamonds, located at the St. John's Town Center.
Or shop at beardsdiamonds.com.
Where exceptional is affordable.
Do you know a child who is deaf, hard of hearing, blind, or visually impaired? The Florida School for the Deaf and Blind in St. Augustine is a fully accredited, tuition-free state public school that gives children an edge for a lifetime of success. FSDB is nationally recognized for its educational services designed for students' unique communication and accessibility needs. Eligible pre-K and kindergarten through 12th grade students benefit from small class sizes, advanced technology, and various recreation, extracurricular, and performing arts activities. Transportation and boarding services are free to any eligible deaf or blind student, kindergarten through high school, no matter where the student lives in Florida. My name is Trent Ferguson, and I'm a proud graduate of this wonderful school. This place changes lives. To learn more information or to apply for enrollment, call 800-344-3737 or log on to www.fsdbk12.org.
Hey, if you're like me, springtime is the time to get the whole house cleaned. And when it comes to deep cleaning stuff, well, let me tell you about my friends at Zero Res. These guys are cleaning freaks. Now, they can clean and protect your carpets, your area rugs, your tile, your grout, your sofas, your chairs, and even your granite countertops. And did you know that Zero Res is short for zero residue? Zero Res has a patented technology that allows them to clean without using any soap or detergent and without leaving any soapy residue behind. That means your carpets will stay clean longer. Now, don't take my word for it. Check out what Zero Res customers are saying. You will find over 2,500 five-star Google reviews. So now's the time to put Zero Res to the test. Call today. You'll get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129. And you tell them Sean Hannity sent you, and get this, you will get 1 room, Zero Res, stain protected for free. Just call Zero Res at 287-5727. Zero Res spelled forward or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best 4G LTE networks, same as the big carriers, but just for a lot less. Just $45 a month. Gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, saving you up to half the cost of the big carriers. No contract. Full court coverage, half the cost. Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Hey guys, Mike Golick here. Athletes are still athletes when they're off the field. That's why they still need to make good choices, like staying hydrated with Bolt 24. With antioxidant vitamins A and C, electrolyte from watermelon and sea salt, and no artificial sweeteners or flavors. Bolt 24 is all-day hydration for all-day athletes. It's available in delicious flavors like watermelon, strawberry, tropical mango, and mixed berry, and can be found in the sports drink aisle at most major retailers. Bolt 24, all-day hydration.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. The Colts traded the 13th overall pick in next month's draft to San Francisco for all-pro defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. He's already agreed to a contract that pays him $21 million a year. Massive trade from the NFL. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Texans send star receiver DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals for running back David Johnson. Deal's a bit of a head-scratcher for Houston and a home run for Arizona, according to ESPN's Booger McFarland.
If you're Kyler Murray and you're Cliff Kingsbury, you get a top 3 receiver. Larry Fitzgerald has got to be ecstatic right now because all the attention now is going to go to DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella. You got to like what they're doing in Arizona, but you got to go, man, what in the hell are they doing in Houston?
The trade also includes draft picks. Browns agreed with tight end Austin Hooper, 4 years, $44 million. Major League Baseball has moved opening day to at least the middle of May after the federal government recommended restricting events of more than 50 people for the next 8 weeks because of the coronavirus emergency.
If you love Nature Valley sweet and salty bars, you'll love the new Sweet and Salty Minis. It's all of the indulgent, savory goodness you know, now in a smaller size. And at 100 calories, snacking has never been so sweet.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jags.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jags on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
It's very disappointing. It's literally incomprehensible. I mean, answering an email, clicking a button on a website. I mean, we all have smartphones in our pockets. It was that simple. There's no showing up to a polling station, having to take off of work like people do for the normal elections in the United States. This was an email and then a prompt on a website. And if you either didn't care or, you're doing disservice to people who come before you. And that's kind of, I think, a broader theme of just kind of thinking too micro, too in the moment, too about yourself and not about the broader picture.
Marshall Newhouse, offensive lineman, free agent, who we had to look up his resume. But his point is right on. It's about the CBA. 500 players didn't vote. Now, A.J. Boye hinted, now is headed to Denver, former Jags corner, hinted that maybe the email didn't get out or whatever. I mean, but gosh, they had 2 weeks. If you didn't know, wouldn't you have asked?
You would generally think so, yes. Marshall Newhouse, by the way, been in the league since 2010 with 8 different teams, but he's a 10-year vet in the league.
You don't play with Marshall Newhouse on your fantasy football teams, that's for sure.
You don't.
But,
you don't want to know O-linemen's
I think the CBA already has kind of been put on the back burner. But DeMaurice Smith says it's a great deal for players. It's a really good deal. Or I don't know about great, but really good deal. They got a lot in return. Again, the owners were smart. They went after the core group of players, and that is those guys that are going to get their minimum raise. That's what the NFL is made up of, not the Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady's and everybody that's getting $30 million. That's not what the NFL is made up of. So it was smart to go after that group. It was a real close vote. It will be a divided house. It's very difficult for the Players Association to get everything they want because there's too many players to get on the same page. It's 2,500 versus 32, which if you're going to battle, that's a good odds. But if you're going to a negotiation, that's a really difficult thing to get everybody on the same page. Much easier to get the 32 on the same page. So the players will always lose this thing in the long run. The owners win big because there's no work stoppage. The fans win big, in my opinion, because you're getting one less preseason game, an extra regular season game next year, and now more playoff teams and more playoff games. We win. Fans of the NFL, we win. Sorry, players. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you get more out of it. I'm all for that. But the players are always going to lose in these negotiations in the big picture, even if it was better than it was 10 years ago.
I feel like this is where Austin would be upset.
He would be mad right now.
He would be upset because,
but it's true.
It is true. He has brought up the story though. Like the last time, I mean, it's so different. The level of guys on that 53-man roster, you know, their priorities, their thought process going into it, and to have the vote be this close, 60 guys be the difference, and to have that many, what was it, 500 not vote?
Yeah, crazy. Kuz, I did not sign any papers, right, when I put my house on it, that it would not get done.
I didn't see any papers.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we weren't allowed to shake hands, so.
That's right. True. Very good call. That will get me out of it. You'll now get a better wedding gift because of that. So thank you. All right, let's talk Calais, Campbell. Love this guy, right? A little heads up to everybody listening. Brent Martineau, Stuart Weber from Action Sports Jack's Coos here on a Monday. Austin Lane not with us today. He's up in Wisconsin at an event, and we'll be there for a couple of days. Be back later in the week. But just to share my quick thoughts on Calais Campbell, I don't have to tell everybody how great a guy Calais Campbell is. We all know that. If you watch the Jags, if you're a fan
Walter
of the
Payton
NFL,
Man of the Year.
I'm not going to sit here for the next 10, 15, 20 minutes and do that. I will just simply say, yes, I have a bias toward Calais Campbell. I got to do the show with him for 3 years. We got to cover him. He is, I had said in the top 3, but I couldn't even come up with the other 2. He is the player I will tell my kids about when they say, who was the best player you ever covered? Who was the most fun to cover? Who was the greatest guy? Who was all that stuff? He is number 1 on my list after 20 years. Will I see another one like him in the next 20 if I am fortunate to do it? I doubt it. So he is that to me. But the crazy thing is, if you ask Stuart Weber, if you ask anybody from the paper, other TV stations, radio stations, they're probably going to say something close to that. I think the folks in Arizona said something close to that. Now, they were fortunate enough to cover Larry Fitzgerald and others too. But that is the kind of guy that Calais Campbell is. I mean, it is genuine. It's to everybody at Mellow Mushroom for All Access. Every Thursday it was like that, Mondays prior to that. So we know that's who he is. The story here is, should the Jags have gotten rid of him? Did they get enough for him? And again, I joked earlier, I would have started a GoFundMe to keep Calais in Jacksonville. Yeah. There's no way I want that guy out of here. But I'd be lying to myself if I also didn't say the smart organizations sometimes cut bait with players like this, go into be a 34-year-old player. The stats trend downward a little bit. The most missed tackles, admittedly, that he had ever had in his career, and he still played really well. He's that good of a player. And also $15 million. And when you're not on the cusp, and the Jags are being honest with themselves right now and saying, we're not on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl, the smart organizations do try to unload that and get something in return rather than just lose that. And so for them to get a 5th-round pick, while I feel like that's it, I mean, as good as that guy was, as much as he meant to this city, to this franchise, to that locker room, that's all you got? I would say at least they got something, and then they don't have to do the $15 million, so it feels more than that inside the organization. I don't know the negotiations. I don't know how many other teams were interested. I don't know if they could have got more, but I love that he went to a team that now feels like they can win it. Yeah. I think he'll really have a good year in Baltimore. He'll take on a totally different role because he just has to blend in instead of reshape an entire franchise and organization. But I think the Jags did him right, and in the long run, we'll find out if I'm correct, they probably made the right business move, as much as I don't like it because I like Calais that much.
Right, and we all do. We all loved Calais and the impact he made on not just the team but the city with all the community events that he did. But it is an interesting thing where I do think that this new role is possibly going to help him sustain his career even longer. To not have to be a guy who has to be out there every single snap, to be a guy who can be part of that rotation. If he goes out there and gets 8 to 10 sacks next year, I'm not going to be surprised. Are you?
No, I wouldn't. And that will be the thing, though. If he goes out and gets 8 and 10 sacks, the Jags probably made a mistake, man. Yeah. You're not filling that. But if he goes and gets 5 or 6.
If you keep him here, though, are you able to use him in a rotational role, maybe like the Ravens are going to do?
Well, here's the deal. You got to be willing to pay it.
Do you swap him and Josh Allen's kind of roles, have Josh Allen be in there every single play?
I think there's no doubt the Jags, this is how I think it went. Yeah. I think it was, hey, we love you, man. I mean, shoot, we'd put you in the pride of the Jaguars right now if we could.
Can we?
And I don't know. That is another question. Will he get there someday? I think it's a valid question. That's how much he's beloved. And you've never seen anybody do as much as he's done in a 3-year window for an organization, a fan base, a city, to be loved the way Calais Campbell is. That's hard to do.
It's the Tony Baselli Hall of Fame argument.
Yeah, true.
A lot in a short period of time.
Yeah. But I think they probably said, hey, we've played you way too much. You're 34 years old. You can be you're dominant. Nobody can block you still, but you're better if we play you 30 snaps, not 48.
Maybe give him a break
50.
on special teams too.
So I think they tried to do that, and then it comes down to dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we're not paying you $15 million to play 30 snaps.
Right.
So did they ask him to take $8 million? Would they have asked him to take 10? Did it even get that far? Now Fred Taylor tweeted out or Instagram or something, and he said he talked to Calais last Tuesday, and he didn't sense this was coming.
Yeah.
So this developed pretty quickly, and we're getting closer and closer to league year. These things do develop pretty quickly. My guess is the Jags would have loved to keep him at a reduced role and a reduced rate. And once you ask around and a team like Baltimore's willing to say, hey, we'll give you 2 years, $27 million. Well, that's $13.5 million a year. So that's probably more than the Jags were willing to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it works. That's how it happens. So I think it's good for everybody on face value, even though it stinks for all of us. Because here's why I say this. Again, if I'm being really honest, which I hate to be here because I'm so biased, but Calais, if you freed up $15 million, I thought of this. If you get 2 players in free agency, or maybe even a third, for the $15 million, it'll be interesting to see what kind of production Calais has in 2020 versus the players that you maybe are able to get. See, I think the Jags are going B-level kind of free agents here in the league year starts. And so B-level free agents a lot of times between like $4 and $8 million. Mm-hmm. So let's just say 2 players. If they get Eric Ebron and a corner or a defensive end, to fill a spot, let's see what those numbers produce. And then you also add in the 5th-round pick. So I can see how the Jags did this. And again, I think they also did Calais a favor. And I'm not sure he asked out. I don't think that was part of it. I don't know that for sure, but I don't think he said, hey, you're trading A.J. Boye. I see where this is going. I want out of here. I don't think it went down like that. But I also don't think Calais minds, and he shouldn't. Now he has a chance to go win a ring. And really help a team. A very
good chance to win a ring.
A good team that has a chance, that thinks they have a chance. We know how that works out in the NFL, too. It's not automatic. But I think at the end of the day, I think everybody's pretty happy with this deal, other than all of us, that no doubt will miss Calais Campbell as a member of the Jags. And I had this question a lot today. And it was, well, how do you replace what he did in the locker room? You look at all these players that came out and said, Jawan Taylor and Josh Allen, what he meant to those young guys. We know what he meant to Yannick Ngakoue over the last 3 or 4 years. Well, he was so special in that regard and so unique in that regard. I don't think you were going to replace it. The question is that alone
worth? Well,
not alone, but is that worth that much more? Whether if you had them pegged at $10 million, were you willing to pay another $5 million just for that? And let me say this: as I say that out loud today to people, this crosses my mind. Dave Caldwell has gotten blasted for being around as long as he's been, 1 winning season, all the criticisms for first-round draft picks, all that. And you know what? Those are the criticisms, and you know what? That's what the resume says. I actually think the one area he probably should be criticized more for and has not been is putting together the right mesh of players.
Yeah.
When they rebuilt this thing in 13 and 14, they got rid of everybody over the age of 29 and a half.
No veterans to lead the
So
way.
they had nobody there. Yeah. And that was a huge mistake. Darryl Smith and others. And even if you want to go all the way up to this year,
just Mercedes was like the only one left at that point.
Even Mercedes Lewis and
they
obviously
him.
Puz retired. Sure. So, but if you go back to when he pieced all this team together, and the early stage was you didn't keep enough veterans. Even if they weren't great, you got to have some veteran presence. This team was so young, they didn't know what the heck they were doing. I think actually Gus Bradley did a pretty good job of keeping them together despite all their losses and everything. Well, what happened then in 17 is all that talent mixed with Calais and others bubbles to the top, and bam, you've got this success. Well, what we didn't know and what we now know is even with guys like Calais and Puz, and Puz then would leave, even with Conleys of the world and some of that Nick Foles coming in the locker room, there were still a bunch of knuckleheads that took a long time to mature. 18 and 19 showed their face that way.
Yeah.
Whether it was Jalen, or Dante or Telvin or whatever. They didn't grow up fast enough. So to me, that was, you might have been able to target some good players and talent, and you got to give him credit for getting a guy like Telvin Smith in the 5th round. He goes to a Pro Bowl. But did you find the right mix of players that make up a culture of a team and allow for you to sustain success like Baltimore does? We'll see if San Francisco's been able to do it with the mesh that they have.
New England has done it.
New England, of course, although I always say that's Tom Brady related. But
veteran leader.
You've got to be able to find the mix of people. Sure. And I think right now with the Jaguars, now, again, Dave Caldwell's making these picks. They have 20-something picks over the next 2 years. I don't know if he's making the back end of those picks, but he's definitely making these picks. And I think there needs to be a sincere look at the kind of player they are getting. You know, they started out by telling us they wanted players that love to play the game.
Yeah.
Passionate players. You know what? I would say they did that.
They got those.
I mean, Yannick Ngakoue loves to play the game. Jalen Ramsey loved to play the game of football. Telvin Smith absolutely loved playing the game of football, which still leaves us mystified that he's not playing the game of football so much.
Right.
So they got guys that love the game of football. That's what they wanted. And that was a good attribute to have. They have to find more guys. And I said this a few weeks ago on the show. They need to find more players that are built like Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Play the game like it's a kid's game, but have a maturity about being a pro, even at 22 years old. And
wife and a kid helps that.
That probably helps that, but they need more of it.
Sure. Yeah.
And you're not going to find it. You can't go back to the Gene Smith, everybody's got to have a captaincy.
Right.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. But you need to find the mesh where you can get away with a couple of knuckleheads, but you don't have 8 of them.
Yeah.
You don't have guys that just fail to mature as they go along in their pro career.
And pass that on to their teammates.
And listen, I don't know where that leaves a guy even like Taven Bryan. Like, see, he's not – I'm not saying he's a knucklehead, gets in trouble, all this stuff, but I also don't know if there's a sense of maturity about him that says, I've got this talent and I'm a pro, or I want to go play video games. I don't know that.
Yeah.
But my point is those guys do interviews with these guys. They get to talk to other coaches. They need to go find those kind of players and more of them, because I think if you look back at what the Jags built or tried to build, they found a good amount of talent. But they didn't find sustainable success because they were all over the map with personalities, maturity, all that stuff. It's a hard thing to describe, but we all know now that the perfect mix wasn't there. And I think that's why so many people salute Calais Campbell, because he was able to rein a lot of that in. And I think he also will leave a lot of the young guys from last year, whether it's Josh Allen, Jawan Taylor, and others that came in there, maybe even a Gardner Minshew, with some big lessons to go along with their career. And I think that's a good starting base to have, is the group they got last year. There's a maturity about the group they drafted last year. Even Quincy Williams, who struggled because he was so raw playing football, doesn't feel like he's aloof to being a pro. Maybe his brother being in the game, maybe Miles helped along the way. I don't know, but he doesn't feel it. So it's a tough thing to peg, but that's Dave Caldwell's job, to peg the makeup of this football team. And I would say that should be one of his biggest criticisms over the years. I know he's got many, but you have to find the right mix of guys that are going to go from year 1 and year 2 of good talent and keep getting better, but also sustain it from a professional kind of level that helps the makeup and chemistry of your locker room. So you don't need to rely on Calais Campbell.
Yeah. A little sidebar related to Calais Campbell, by the way. He'll have a familiar face in his new division as Jack Conklin, formerly the number 8 overall pick in that awesome draft that we were talking about this last commercial break, has signed with the Browns, or will sign with the Browns.
I thought he was a free agent,
3-year, $42 million, so $14 a year.
So the Browns go spend some big bucks,
Browns
right?
are spending big bucks. They get Hooper, and they get their right tackle, Jack Conklin.
And here's what they're doing. They're going all in on Baker Mayfield. And we're giving you an offensive lineman. We're giving you another tight end. Now, will they deal a guy like Joku? I'm not sure. But they've got Odell Beckham Jr. They've got Landry. I mean, what more do you want, Baker Mayfield? That's what they're saying. Figure it out, dude.
Yep.
What more do you want? That's what basically the Browns are doing here this season. They are going to find out what they have in Baker Mayfield because they're getting stacked up on the offensive end. Brent Martineau, Stuart Weber. Let's go back to that real quick before we head to a break.
Yeah.
That draft, because I was curious. DeForest Buckner, if you just joined us, he jumped in. He got to Indianapolis, traded from San Francisco. Indianapolis gives up a 13th overall pick, and then they give Buckner $21 million a year. He's the second highest paid guy behind Aaron Donald in that position.
Yes.
Not Sam Darnold. Aaron Donald. Yeah. So a huge move for Indianapolis. But what it got me thinking is, with Jalen Ramsey no longer in Jacksonville, San Francisco now just let their top 6 pick from 2016.
Seventh pick.
Oh, he was the 7th pick, not 6th? Who was 6th pick in that draft?
Ronnie Stanley.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
So his top 7 pick, they let him go. They didn't maintain him. And there's so much criticism around here for, well, you didn't keep Jalen Ramsey. You might not keep Yannick Ngakoue, those kind of things. Well, San Francisco's a team coming off a Super Bowl, and they were willing to let Buckner go. That's why I was kind of curious about it. Those are the only 2 guys that have left. And
now number 8.
I will say
5,
this.
7, 8. Yeah.
Look at what the Jags got for Jalen Ramsey at number 5 last year. 2 first rounds and a 4th. And Buckner was worth a first. That's it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. The Jags got a haul for Ramsey.
They did.
I mean, there's no other way to say it. They got an absolute haul for Jalen Ramsey when they got rid of him. Now, the difference here is, and I know what you're saying, folks, San Francisco's loaded up with a hell of a lot more good players than the Jacksonville Jaguars are. I get it. That's not wrong. They decided to put their money in the Eric Armstead bucket instead of the DeForest Buckner bucket. But we wanted to go back and look at this draft. It was almost impossible to miss on a draft pick early in 2016.
First 7 guys all have gone to the Pro Bowl. So the first 7 draft picks in that draft have all gone to the Pro Bowl, and the 8th was Conklin, who we just mentioned, who's signing a decent deal.
Yeah, $14 million a year.
$42 million. Although it's weird that the Titans wouldn't, with their offensive line, wouldn't pick up.
They got Luan already at $16 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I think I saw that today. I think it's $16 million a year. So again,
how much can you invest in one position group?
Yeah. But it's a valid point because they want to be tough there, and they were willing to part ways with them, but they couldn't keep everybody, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, this is the same draft that had Laramie Tunsil, who has since been dealt. Derrick Henry later on.
But also played at a Pro Bowl level.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead. Let's go down the list. So Jared Goff, Carson Wentz was number 1 or Goff?
Goff
was number 1.
Then Wentz, then Bosa, Joey Bosa.
Okay, so Bosa's been great.
Yeah, Zeke.
Ezekiel's been great and already has a new contract, although that probably shouldn't have happened. Okay.
2.0 went number 5.
Yeah, and obviously he's been a stud, but and he got a lot in return. We'll see what kind of deal he gets.
Ronnie Stanley at 6.
Made a Pro Bowl this year, I think.
Yep, Pro Bowler. DeForest Buckner at 7. Jack Conklin at 8. Leonard Floyd, the linebacker, at 9 for the Bears.
I think he's just been very okay.
Yeah, Eli Apple at 10 to the Giants. Hargraves
not good.
Doesn't have a team right now. Sheldon Rankins at 12, defensive tackle, and then Tunsil at 13.
Yeah, Tunsil's played a Pro Bowl.
Tunsil's gone to a Pro Bowl. Yeah.
So
that's your top 13.
What else you got? Just the rest of the first round, like not in order. Just give me a name or 2 that sticks out. You said Derrick Henry was second round.
Second round was Henry. Yeah. If you look a little later on, Kem Dichie to the Cardinals.
That
didn't work out so good.
That was a risky pick.
Will Fuller to the Texans.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, it's good when it's good, but he's just never available.
Center Ryan Kelly to the Colts, Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Keanu Neal, the Gator, to Atlanta, Pro Bowler.
Has Neal done anything since though? Early on, he started off on fire.
Yeah,
and I just don't know. I mean, they've been so
his
not
Pro Bowl
great.
was in 2017, so that was
so it's a couple
hot second ago. That was all your pro. I already named all the Pro Bowlers out of that first round.
Still,
a few others.
It was a good draft,
yeah.
Especially we just brought up the top 13 picks. You'd only miss on like 3 of those guys. Yeah. So it was almost impossible to miss. But now you see at the top 10, some of those guys on the move. The Titans now no longer keeping Conklin. Obviously, Ramsey to the Rams.
Miles Jack in the second round for the Jags.
And now Buckner goes to the Colts. So that was a heck of a draft.
Yeah.
In the top 10 especially. All right, we're going to come back and talk more about what's going on in the NFL. What's the latest on the Nick Foles front? Any other reports? As teams are looking at acquiring Foles, according to earlier reports. What will the Jags do? We haven't really talked about them other than the Calais Campbell news. But what's the move to make? And when do they make it? If any, they've got some money to spend. And a whole lot of draft picks if they want to start trading around with some teams. So many other teams certainly doing a lot of moving and shaking, especially in the AFC South. We'll update you on all the moves happening around the NFL when we come back. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Mostly cloudy skies this evening. Temperatures falling from the 70s into the 60s. It'll be mainly dry. Morning lows in the low 60s. Some scattered afternoon showers return tomorrow for St. Patrick's Day, with highs in the 70s at the coast, near 80 inland. With your First Alert forecast, I'm Action News Jax meteorologist Garrett Beedenbaugh.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where 0% financing for 5 years has been held over. Find out more at beardsdiamonds.com. ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Jake Mitchell. The big news over the weekend is that the Jags traded away the mayor of Saxonville for the next to nothing to the Ravens. Calais Campbell is on his way to Baltimore for a fifth-round pick less than 2 months after being named NFL Man of the Year and Defensive MVP of the Pro Bowl. Here's Diana Rossini, ESPN NFL Insider.
Calais Campbell is still playing at nearly an elite level. I mean, what a great grab for Baltimore.
NFL free agency kicked off today, and it's hot and heavy. Many teams tagging and signing players. Keep listening to ESPN 690 for updates. Stay connected with ESPN 690 while you're at work by listening on ESPN690.com. Best kept secret of tires is TireOutlet.com. Tire Outlet offers wholesale prices with premium service. TireOutlet.com always has a safety-first focus. Locations throughout the First Coast, there's no need to go anywhere else for tires and service.
I'm not a big talker. I am a big doer. But sometimes the only way to solve the problem is to get on the horn and figure it out. So the only people I like talking to? Grainger. With knowledgeable product experts, ready with the answers to my toughest questions, calling Grainger is the one conversation I don't mind having. From machining and motor parts to valves and vacuum pumps. When it comes to solving my problems, Grainger's got my back. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger. For the ones who get it done.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Austin Lane from Action Sports Jacks. Thanks for making ESPN 690 the fastest-growing sports station in Jacksonville. It was a lot of fun playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars for 3 years, and I'm having just the same amount of fun on the radio every single day with ESPN 690. So I'm reaching out to you to be part of our team and grow your business with ESPN 690. Give us a holler at 245-8732. That's 245-8732. We look forward to hearing from you and hope you join the team.
For the ones who forge metal and those with nerves of steel. For the ones who burn the midnight oil and the ones who rise with the sun. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry with over 250 local branches and a team of specialists available 24/7 to help you solve any challenge. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
After a car accident, you can feel like you've lost control. I'm Mark Anajar from the law offices of Anajar and Levine. After the crash, call the police and document the scene by taking photos of all the vehicles involved. If you were injured, get medical attention as soon as possible. If you've been involved in a car accident, call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000 for a free consultation. And take back control of your life.
Office in Jacksonville.
There's a new sports medicine practice in Jacksonville.
Hi, my name is Stan Longnecker.
Hi, I'm Dr. Grimsley.
I'm Dr. Michael Adams.
Ortho Edge.
We believe that the patient pays money for a doctor and should be seen by a doctor.
They're getting the most technologically available medicine there is.
Ortho Edge.
You're going to get a much better experience with your physician. We all see our patients every time.
Find out more about us at orthoedge.com.
We're in the DePaul building attached to St. Vincent's Medical Center, Riverside.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, helped me pay for my house.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Florida Army National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Ready, set, go to Arlington Toyota during the Ready, Set, Go construction sales event. Have you been by Arlington lately? Construction is underway for their new state-of-the-art showroom. And while the dust is flying, so are the amazing deals. Thanks to Arlington's Ready, Set, Go construction sales event. How about a 2020 Toyota Corolla? It's not $17,635. Now it's only $14,991. Yeah, $14,991 for a pre-owned 2020 Toyota Corolla at Arlington Toyota. Want a 2019 Toyota RAV4? It's not $24,195. No way. It's just $19,471 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota RAV4 at Arlington. Plus, you'll get the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club, including a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles with your purchase. Ready, set, go to the construction sales event happening now at Arlington Toyota, and pay up to 50% less on 2019s and even 2020s. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard or online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/readysetgo for offer details.
Spay or neuter your pet. Help them live a longer, happy life. First Coast No More Homeless Pets has free and low-cost programs available now. Make your appointment today. Call 425-0005, 425-0005, or fcnmhp.org.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
A sewer troll? Where does that come
Well,
from?
Brent, like trolls underneath the bridge? Well, imagine a troll that lives underneath a sewer. It's not good, okay? Yeah.
The Jags are a sewer troll.
And she's got a whole personality as well.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30. Action Sports Jack.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
From what I was hearing, talking to agents who represent a lot of players, tons of players who just didn't vote, assuming that it was all going to be fine. It was obviously not fine. So many yes votes, it seems, came in at the end, and that helped sway very, very slim margin. I got a text from a prominent player a couple minutes ago and said simply, I'm sad. Clearly not all players are behind this, but what this does mean, labor peace now through 2030. There were several teams that would have had to literally sit out free agency had this not passed. At least now everyone gets some breathing room.
That's Ian Rappaport talking about the CBA that was agreed to yesterday morning. Gosh, it feels like 6 days ago now since that came out. But, high-profile players are mad about it. Because they think they could have got more, but they're also sitting on millions of dollars in the bank, unlike the players that make league minimum and have shorter careers and are fighting for every rep and every roster spot. So this means more jobs as well. I think there's a lot of good things to this new CBA. Probably not smart enough to understand it all, and it just depends what side of the aisle you're on. Veteran player, young player, retired player of 30 years ago, retired player of 15 years ago. I mean, there's a lot to digest, and everybody will benefit or not benefit from some of the new changes. So it just depends which situation you're in. But like I say, owners are happy. One, they got it done, no work stoppage. And fans are pretty happy because no work stoppage and more good football, more better football. Take away one of those preseason games starting in 2021, it looks like, and also more playoff football, which will start right away. So that is the big deal. I will say this. I think there are a lot of people around the league that were surprised there wasn't more dollars in the whole salary cap. It stopped at like $198 million. I think projections would be even more than that.
Well, especially when we talk about our situation with Yannick Ngakoue, we were expecting to get like 19.3 as that franchise tag.
It's true. That went down.
17.8
Yeah.
What it ended up being.
He actually lost a little
numbers.
money based on some of those new projections as well. Brent Martineau, Stuart Weber from Action Sports Jacks. Coos here on a Monday. Again, Austin Lane, who checked in earlier from Wisconsin at an event, will be back middle of the week. Once again, we want to advise you to pay attention to 104.5 WOKV here on the radio side, and also on TV, CBS 47 and Fox 30, as they're right in the middle of the newscast now. But check it out and pay attention to everything happening with the coronavirus and the new recommendations from the CDC, from local officials, from national officials. Only thing I can say, and I'm not going to preach to you folks. You guys are you're big adults. Maybe not big, but you're big, grown up, and adults. We think. But I would say, listen. It goes back to what I would tell the kids.
Yeah.
Every day when I dropped them off in school when they were younger, they'd get out of the car, and I would say, listen, follow the rules, and have fun. I don't know if anybody's having fun yet.
You can still do all those things right now.
But if you listen and follow the rules, this will come out a lot better, right?
Remember, there was an age when there weren't TVs and computers and all these other things, and people still had fun back then.
Yeah.
And you still have those now. So
I thought this could be a fun thread. Like, a lot of people are coming up with some interesting things.
To do.
What I'm trying not to do is waste all my bullets on social media early on. This could be a drawn-out process.
Sure.
So you don't get all the good stuff out in the first couple of days. It's a marathon, people,
Hold on
not a
to it.
sprint.
Unfortunately, the NFL is kind of doing that to us right now a little
well,
bit.
that's why. So I can push mine back.
Treat it
right?
like you're day drinking, not just going out at
true.
like 10 at night.
Very good analogy.
There's the Coos analysis.
I think what
Don't
you
hit any
could
parked
do,
cars.
this could be a decent thread to start, though, on social media, is send us what games you're playing with the kids.
Yeah.
Does it go back to board
I liked
games?
your marshmallow one you were saying.
No, the marshmallow thing's real. That's the one I would tweet out. We haven't done it yet, but I will do it. And marshmallow baseballs are a real thing. Just, again, watch your eyes. They hurt. That's a disclaimer, and I'm giving you the warning. But if you can buy the big marshmallows.
Not the little ones?
Well, you got to have really good hand-eye for the little ones.
I really wanted to start, because I live so close to the beach, I was going to go get marbles. Did you see that video that was trending?
I saw that, yeah.
I was going to do a new one every day, and then I was like, do I really want to spend that much money on marbles?
The funny thing is, I ran down that YouTube rabbit hole like a month ago.
Oh, you did?
Like before any of this nonsense, craziness, all this stuff going on, I had it on my TV for like 30 minutes. I was just watching Marble Olympics. Like, I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? It was entertaining, though. I was rooting for the cat's eyes.
Well, with all the I didn't
marble.
actually get to the
type
end
of
of it.
marble, by the way.
With all the school closures, I just thought, you know what? Maybe I'll be a cool thread, right?
Yeah.
It's like, give us what are you doing with the kids from a game standpoint? Whether maybe it's video games sometimes, maybe it's marshmallow baseball.
I have
maybe
a feeling
it's
you
board
guys
games.
will still go out and get some swings in at the park.
Well, we can't at the park.
Oh, they keep the lights off?
They closed the park.
Oh, they closed the park.
Apparently, they've closed the ballparks that are city-run.
But it was only the three of you that was ever out there.
I know. I was a little mystified by that one, too.
Jump the fence.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like now there's going to be a lot of broken windows because we're getting our swings in anyway.
Yeah,
so sorry, neighbors.
Well, you got a net, too, to hit
We'll have to do the net thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to get live pitching.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that won't be easy, but you got to find a way. That's the thing. So how creative can you get? Everybody stay safe. Don't hurt anybody. But we might have to start that thread. I think we could have some fun with that one.
Wait a couple days, though.
And maybe get some ideas. Yeah, we don't need it right now.
All right, not right this second.
But
start thinking of ideas, people.
Yes, we need some ideas. What else is going on around the league? I just got this alert. Former Redskins QB Case Keenum, 3-year, $19 million deal. And, of course, then it went away as I was trying to read the rest of it. Was that real? How can this not be on my Twitter feed? The Browns, 3-year, $18 million deal.
$10 million guaranteed.
Wait a minute.
To the Browns, huh? Who's their backup? Would that be their backup?
They're spending $6 million a year on a backup.
A lot of money on a backup.
Is that a little sense of urgency for Baker? The Browns are big movers and shakers here, and there's a lot to read into it if you're a Browns fan or if you're on sports radio in Cleveland, because they obviously have Odell Beckham Jr. There was some talk they might move him. It doesn't look like they're doing that. They have Landry. They just picked up Jack Conklin. They already picked up Austin Hooper, and now they pick up a backup QB. The pressure's on Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, no
They're
doubt.
saying,
especially
get it done this year.
Keenum thrived in 2018 under Stefanski, the new coach of the Browns, is the connection.
Very good. Good call there. Nice job.
Internet told me that. I'm good
you
at
can take credit.
I'm good at searching.
I would have
for
given
things.
you credit.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Can't take that.
Some quick reaction with everything else.
Sure.
Is Bill O'Brien absolutely crazy, or are we missing something?
There's got to be a rift between those guys.
That's what it sounded like.
It's got to be, right? Because why else would you trade a top 3 wide receiver in the game for a running back who, 3 years ago was a fantasy stud and then let me down the next year. But a guy who is a running back, which for all intents and purposes is a position that you can really fill in with a lot of different guys, whether it be a lower priced free agent, be it a guy you get in the draft, be it the guys you have in your roster. But the running back position, there's a lot of options as ways to go. There's only top three wide receivers in the game, and the price, the money was the same. So what? It is one that's got everybody scratching their heads and just baffled.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. There was some talk that he's going to want an extension. Could that get dramatic? But he's got 3 years left on his deal. I mean, he didn't have to do anything. And right now, Arizona looks like a little bit of a bargain, and they give Kyler Murray a guy that obviously I think is one of the top receivers in the game, if not the best receiver in the game. And he's caught a lot of footballs and a lot of touchdowns from bad QBs until he finally hooked up with Deshaun Watson. From Houston's perspective, again, this is why I say the Jags sitting still and watching all this unfold. Well, I feel like they gained ground on Houston. Deshaun Watson just lost his best target. You right now are starved of corners. You don't have Jalen Ramsey or A.J. Boye here in Jacksonville anymore.
Jalen, who gets to face Hopkins again twice a year, by the way.
They just got rid of the best receiver in the division. So that helps the Jaguars as we sit here on a Monday. Now, again, Fuller's talented. They do have Kenny Stills, but Kenny Stills doesn't scare me. They've got Duke Johnson now, and does David Johnson become something? And Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback in the division. But, again, I'm sitting here today, and there's two things I'm happy about if I'm the Jags. One, the best receiver maybe in the game is out of my division. I don't have to face him twice a year, especially with unknowns at my corner position. And two, Bill O'Brien continues to run everything. And as long as Bill O'Brien's running everything from a personnel standpoint, I don't like Houston's chances of making good moves. He might hit on one or two, maybe one. Listen, the Tunsil deal, he got more out of that than I think people thought he would. They thought he was crazy when they made that deal. The Clowney deal didn't look good. So, yeah, I think Bill O'Brien, I think they're in a danger zone because they're letting Bill O'Brien have too much power. That does not usually work well. And by the way, they've already had talent. They've got old talent now with a guy like J.J. Watt, who's getting older. Yep. And they've missed a lot of their window with Bill O'Brien as the head man, and they blew a 24-0 second quarter lead against the Kansas City Chiefs this last year. So I think the Jags are winning on the Texans front. Let's just say that. Now, the Colts just made a move that got everybody's attention with DeForest Buckner. They spent $21 million, but they also give up a first-round draft pick. And DeForest Buckner, by the way, isn't winning you 3 extra games. He's a part of it, but he's not that much of a game changer. He's a big piece in the middle now for an upgraded Colts defense.
Well, and I think I really enjoy the reaction right when that trade goes down because everyone has their opinion. Everybody reacts. A few of them included Jalen Ramsey tweeting out, "What?"
Yeah.
Exclamation, question, what? That was from Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen doesn't go to GQ anymore. He just on Twitter, he chimes in about every big move that's made.
Tweets.
And you better be paying attention because he doesn't reference it.
Correct. Yes. You could just go back later and be like, why did he tweet what?
Yeah.
But it came right after that, so you kind of know. Kenny Stills did the what in the world kind of gif. Leonard Fournette's tweet. Everybody in the NFL losing their minds, I see.
By the way, we should have played that today.
Don't ever change Leonard.
We got to go get the Leonard did a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live.
Okay.
Instagram Live. I know that's where the cool kids live. But
Instagram.
Some of his stuff was pretty funny.
I thought his tweet to Calais saying, I have to play you game one. And it was
and everybody thought Leonard knew the schedule.
Yeah,
and they were opening up with Baltimore. Like, I don't think Leonard knows the schedule. I think he meant when he does play them because they are on the schedule this year. All right, Tom Brady. Well, no, before I get to Tom Brady, the other side of it, I wanted to say this about Arizona. So Kingsbury and Murray, this tandem, give them credit for going to get a guy. They kept Kenyon Drake. And so that transition tag, I think they put on him. So they have a back. David Johnson was their backup back at a high price, so they get rid of that. And they bring in Hopkins for Kyler Murray. It got me thinking this way. What will the Jags do for Gardner Minshew? Because, again, I think it's worth noting, even though he doesn't want to now admit it anymore, but he told us at the end of the year, and he wasn't wrong. Gardner Minshew, numbers-wise, was just as good, if not better, than all those guys, including Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm.
So
Who
it's
now has
important to
DeAndre
know
Hopkins.
if Arizona is going, it feels so good about Murray and that investment.
Yeah.
Why don't the Jags feel better about their QB play and what their rookie did, even though they didn't plan anything to have it like this? And should they go get more weapons for him to see who he is? And I think the resounding answer to that is yes. If you're going to spend 2020 finding out if Minshew is the guy, which I believe they're doing, whether Foles is on the roster or not, then you better go put things around him to put him in a position to be successful. You want to do that for any quarterback. But the Jags need to do a better job of that. They think their offensive line is better than people think it is. They have DJ Chark. They have some parts with Conley and Westbrook. They have Fournette. But they've got nothing really at tight end that you can count on. They don't have a change of pace back, and they need another pass catcher somewhere along the way. They need to go find a way to do that. I'm not saying Hopkins was the way to do that, although it would have been nice.
I feel like this list of bullet points is the one we've been saying every offseason for a while now.
It is.
To be quite honest.
It is, but I think it's...
with every different quarterback we've had, too.
To me, there's an exclamation point on it, though, when Arizona goes and makes a move
sure,
like
when you're
this.
seeing what the others are doing.
And they've got the same situation. They've got a guy that went 500, a rookie QB. Forget about where they were drafted. They have a guy that was 500, and they're going to grow with this guy in 2020, and they just put him in a better position to succeed. Will the Jaguars do the same?
But can you forget about where they were drafted when you consider how much they have invested in Kyler Murray? The Jags don't have that much invested in Gardner Minshew. Now, the thing that pops in your head is, well, shouldn't they want to win just as much as the other one does? Well, yes. You would like to think that, obviously, but here we are. And Gardner Minshew is just, a lower draft pick. He's got all this momentum from the fans, obviously, and he did what he did in his rookie campaign. But I don't think they have as much invested in him as the Cardinals do in Kyler Murray.
No, but then I could make the case then you can spend more of your investment dollars and capital to go help him because you spent less.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, to me, Gardner Minshew, again, who I will say, just like every other quarterback in last year's draft, is a bit of an unknown still. You got way more than you ever thought you'd get out of him. But the whole idea of 2020 for all these teams, whether it's the Giants and Daniel Jones, whether it's Kyler Murray in Arizona, and they'll probably give him a longer leash, I get it. But the Jags and Gardner Minshew is finding out what you have. And so the best way to find out
give
is
the best possible scenario to succeed.
And so I don't think that's going to be with slam dunks and splashes in free agency. Well, Austin Hooper didn't do it. DeAndre Hopkins trade didn't do it. Hayden Hurst, he went to Atlanta, didn't do it. Do you go get Eric Ebron? I think you do. I think you try to find a way to get one of those kind of guys here and give them a shot. I also think we'll see a heavy investment in the draft on pass catchers, whether it's tight end or receivers. But again, keep in mind, tight end draft, not very good.
Yeah.
So where are you finding some of those weapons? And what the team will probably say is, well, Josh Oliver's coming back, and that might help. But we just don't know.
Yeah.
So I think they have to find them weapons. Now to the Brady sweepstakes.
Sure.
I don't know where you were on when this all started. But
it hasn't changed.
Where were you and where are you?
He's going back to New England. I'm still he's going back to New England. I just feel like with all the stuff going on everywhere else, he's going to want to go to what's familiar and what's been that bread and butter for all these years. I saw that Vegas has now upgraded Tampa Bay to be the new favorite.
And the report this afternoon, by the way, was Tampa has made it loud and clear to Brady and his people that they want him.
You were about to say all in, which would have been a good Vegas reference.
That would have been good, but that's not what they said in the quote. So it was loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
And that's not moving you.
No, not really.
I think Brady's out.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's done.
I know you've said that for a while.
Well, listen, part of it, I took it as a bet on the shake with Austin. And so Austin's got him staying. I've got him going. But I actually think it's more clear than ever before. And most people will tell you nobody has any clue what's going on with Brady. You're just guessing, which I get. I mean, guys like that really keep it close to the vest. I really feel like he's enjoying this process. I almost have a sense, I thought of this today. Tell me if I'm nuts. That
you're nuts.
Brady, I'm not as crazy as Bill O'Brien, at least.
There you go.
I really think Brady might have spent some time with Peyton Manning And Manning might have told him, hey, that was a fun process, man.
Yeah.
It was fun when I was getting courted. That was not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. I enjoyed it. And now I'm wondering if that kind of thing, to go along with everything else, there's some talk yesterday that the Patriots are only going to be able to give him like $22 million or something, and Tampa's going to throw $30 to $40 million at him. I'm not sure money matters to Brady, but I really don't. I wonder, this courtship he has embraced. He has thrown little hints out there. He has let people talk. And I said it on the show a couple weeks ago. I've been surprised at that part of it. Brady doesn't strike me as that guy, but it's crystal clear he's embracing people talking, guessing, wondering about where he's going. And so with that, I also think when you're getting courted, it's more likely that you go away because somebody's going to wow you.
Yeah.
And I think the Tampa Bay Bucks will wow them, it sounds like from the reports. Maybe somebody else jumps in, although that looks less and less likely because of Tannehill. I also will say this. I you know me, I don't like the Titans. And I just think I never can jump on board with the Titans. But I heard somebody say this about the Titans. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Diana Rossini. I think she was on with Golick and Wingo, I want to say. Or anyway, it was on ESPN690. And they said they actually wanted Tannehill over. They thought Tannehill was a better fit than Brady. Are you out of your mind? Tannehill's a better fit than Brady? They must not have thought they were going to get Brady. Because getting a 2-year Brady and bringing the franchise tag or a new contract for Derrick Henry would have been a way better move than Tannehill.
Sometimes you have to tell yourself something enough times to make it a reality inside your head.
There was no way that was happening. So, but anyway, I think he's out, man. I don't think he's going to New England.
So Tampa. Maybe they announce it at WrestleMania if it happens there.
I do wonder,
Instead of WrestleMania, they just have a Tom Brady announcement on the pirate ship.
Well, by the way, that would be bigger than WrestleMania. It's weird for me to say he's going to go to, like, Tampa's the landing spot.
Yeah.
That part I'm having a hard time because, like, it's Tampa, man.
Right.
But Bruce Arians, a cool guy, probably a fun guy. You know, I said just a couple minutes ago, Manning is a reason I think he might have, like, got information from and enjoyed that process when he was going to the Denver and then maybe even Houston. And I think Tennessee was in play when Manning was going through that whole process. I also think, you know, if you look back at his childhood idol, which was Joe Montana, and Montana goes to the Chiefs, he's probably had conversations like, hey, man, it's not that bad. Like, it was fun. Like, I enjoyed going somewhere else. You know, it's looked at from a prism of, hey, we all want those legendary guys to stay with one team. And I'm guilty of it, right? I love that. I love the Yankees, but I love that Derek Jeter played with the same team.
Yeah.
I love Larry Bird played with the same team.
I'm Larry, my guy Chipper Jones with the Braves.
Yeah.
Whole time.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I think we love that more than they love that.
Yeah.
They're not wrapped up in that. And I think it's crystal clear guys like LeBron and heck, even Calais. Calais isn't like, oh my gosh, I would do anything to stay here so I don't go to a third team. Nah, it's like he embraced change.
Otherwise, he would have stayed in Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely. They embrace change, and they know it's part of the game now more than ever. So I actually think
especially
Brady,
in the NFL.
I think that part of it, if you hear somebody say, well, he really wants to stay with the one team the whole time, I think that's us.
Yeah.
And that's us talking in our feelings from the outside more than his. I think now it's been proven that doesn't matter. Most people don't care about that. Most players don't care about that. In fact, I'm starting to think Brady likes the courtship more than the loyalty part of staying. And I don't think he owes the New England Patriots anything.
No, he doesn't owe them anything.
He can do whatever the heck he wants.
Built him a stadium.
But if you think he's going to stay just to wear one hat his whole career, that's a bad way of thinking here.
I don't think it's that as much as I just think it's the familiarity with the head coach, with the facilities, with this routine, the schedule.
Yeah, that's fair.
I tend to lean more that way than the loyalty of wanting to stay with that one team his entire time. I think he comes with some quirks to him.
Real quick, though, how many jobs have you had? So you had Texas?
3 in TV, yeah.
And Columbus and here?
Yeah.
Every time you move jobs, you got what? Invigorated. You had a different energy level to you. You had to go prove it all over again. Tom Brady is 43 years old. If there's somebody that needs a little shot in the arm to get a little energy boost, I think it's TB12. Could probably go off his own line, by the way, for a little
Tampa
energy
Bay.
boost.
Yeah, sure.
But, or Tampa Bay. But I think that helps people sometimes. the moving around, you get stale.
Right.
You know, you kind of get complacent, even though you don't feel like you are. You're working your butt off. But go to a different place, man. That invigorates you.
Prove yourself
That gives
again.
you one last supercharge for another year or two to finish off your career.
You're not telling me to leave here, are you?
Oh, we're all leaving right now. We got to go.
Okay.
But Tom Brady, I don't think he's going back to the Patriots. Watch, there's probably a tweet coming out in like 10 seconds that he's going back to the Patriots.
Brady back
and
to
we'll
the
keep you
Pats.
posted on everything happening tonight on the TV side. CBS 47 and Fox 30. I'm going to go live from Jags headquarters with all the NFL news. So we do that in just about an hour. And make sure you hang with us tomorrow. 3 to 6 on ESPN 690.
First Take, Your Take with Jason Fitz.
Who should be the highest paid athlete in all this? We're not even having a Super Bowl conversation about, I don't know, the defensive side of the football. What we do know is that the conversation about the quarterback always rules every conversation about the NFL. As we're going to have this conversation about who wins the Super Bowl, then what's next? What's next for Patrick Mahomes is a payday.
First Take, Your Take with Jason Fitz from 1 to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Now's the time to put Zero Res to the test. Call today. You'll get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129, and you tell them Sean Hannity sent you. And get this, you will get 1 room, Zero Res stain protect